Rich
I think I
people.
found the button. I think we're live now.
No, I think so. Yes,
It'll take me ages to find the end stream button at the end. We might just be stuck here for several hours.
It says live for 10 seconds.
It does. We've been live for 10 seconds. So yeah, hello everyone. Hello chat. We have Andrew has joined us for this. The first is this technically like the first of the BSUP revival arc, or was that the one we did for New Year's? Which was New Year's? What are we calling this? Is this just
BSUP season 2?
It's season 2. That works.
I'm
BSUP
still
season
here.
2. Yeah, unlike Gina Carano, you are actually still here. We haven't found an excuse to fire you yet, but we will get there. Lofty Pixels will be joining us when he joins us. He's around somewhere in the internet and is due to be joining us. But yeah, no, we were just talking backstage about cars, which is great because I don't drive one, so I don't know anything about them. Although we were talking about the Cybertruck and all of the problems with the Cybertruck, since Elon Musk is going to come up on the stream a couple of times, I imagine. The problem we have with the Cybertruck over this side of the big Atlantic pond is that you can't actually legally sell them because they are too hard for cyclists. In other words, if you hit a cyclist with a Cybertruck, the cyclist will die. And that apparently is illegal. When I thought that was a real sales point of the Cybertruck, is that finally we have a car which is tailor-made to run down cyclists. Well, they'll just go splat against the body because it's bulletproof, right? So they'll just go splat. So
no, but why do cyclists always get this sort of leeway? Like any car will kill a pedestrian, you know?
So, if you drive it fast enough.
It's so funny that like your car can't be hard. Like
that's an actual law. That is the actual law. You have to have crumple points at the front of your cars in this point, because so if you do hit a pedestrian, then they will do more damage to your car, and they probably will still die anyway. So what's the point? They'll just die more slowly of a worse wound because they haven't immediately been wiped out. So I think do away with that and just have a car which can just immediately insta kill any cyclist you happen to run into.
Drive that way.
That would be fun to me, I think. But yeah, so even if I wanted one, can't get a Cybertruck. But that is not actually why we are all called here together today on this fine evening, because we have other media stuff that we're going to be talking about. And I guess the first one, which is the late breaking one, is that Gina Carano has decided, with Elon Musk's backing and blessing and money, to sue Disney and Lucasfilm for unfair dismissal, discrimination on grounds of sex, and generally being absolute twats. So that's happened. Anyone particularly excited about this?
Yeah, I thought this was I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that Elon's following through. I don't follow Elon news like super closely, but I think he's a pretty fascinating guy. And I didn't know if he was going to actually follow through on any of these offers he made about paying for if anyone was fired for what they said on the Twitter or X platform, that he would look into paying their legal fees if they wanted to actually sue the company that did that to them. And this is the biggest case, clearly. It's also a long time coming. I'm really surprised. But it does require, I guess, someone of Elon Musk's stature if you're going to take on Disney. So I think there's a reason this is a big topic. It's the continued downfall of Disney. I just released another video like a week and a half ago, maybe, and it was discussing Nelson Peltz, who's kind of creating like a proxy war for the Disney board and trying to establish some influence there. So this is just another peg in or another nail in Disney's coffin, it seems. Or a good pegging to Disney and Bob Iger, if you want to look at it that way too, I guess.
He does look like the kind of person who might enjoy that sort of thing. Let me see if I can. Oh God, this is where I forget entirely how this works. Share screen. You okay? Yeah. No. What?
We are professionals
on this thing. We're really fucking professional. How do you share windows, like specifically on this thing?
Present.
Good question.
Share screen.
We need someone to like run this thing,
and then
when we actually get it running
up on Chrome, and it shows you like your tabs.
Yeah, actually, all the things I have on a different. Fuck it, I'll just put it up on this one, and then I can do it because being ex-journalist type person, I of course learned the first lesson is that you do not rely on newspapers for information ever. That includes this. So I have had some fun this evening because I went and read the actual civil brief that they have filed in California.
Ooh.
Oh,
I see. I can do it like that. Ah, how amazing. Is that now on?
no, but I can put it
No,
up there.
you can put it there. We'll get there eventually.
I'll finish. It's teamwork here.
Yeah, here we are. It looks incredibly dull. The fun thing about the civil brief on this this particular thing, oh god, which one is it on? Oh, I'm sharing the wrong one. There it is. Is that they've crammed so many Star Wars references into their civil brief,
What?
which is
Really?
yeah, like
I see
beginning
this
a short
first one.
time ago, Galaxy Far, Far Away. There's a really particularly quite cringe one. Yeah, after 2
Oh,
highly acclaimed
no.
seasons on The Mandalorian, terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star
my
in an
God.
earlier Star Wars film.
What?
This is Elon's lawyer for sure. you
Yeah,
know?
almost certainly. The annoying thing is none of this made it into any of the reports, which is a shame because
This is
I'm always,
crazy. That's
It's
crazy
amazing.
intro.
but it's so the basic claim that they have. There's a couple. I think there are 3 attempts that they're making here. That there's the unfair dismissal one on the grounds that they have effectively punished her, fired her for using her First Amendment rights to voice opinions on. What was the thing? Like the list of things that they cited. It was the most recent one, and the one that finally triggered her so-called termination is the one where she was talking about the Holocaust not being the first and last event in that chain. It begins with demonization of your opponents. But there were other ones as well, and all of that sort of spiral. So that's one of the things. She's also very specifically alleged that this amounts to sex discrimination because the same approach was not taken for other people, including like particularly men who said similar things and were not punished for it in the way that she was.
Mm.
And I actually don't remember
Do
which.
they give examples of men who?
Funnily enough, they do. Now,
Yeah,
I was wondering, who would you, because
yeah.
there aren't many in this, who would you guess they've used?
I
if you had
was
to
racking
guess?
my brain earlier. I really nothing off the top of the head.
Because I was thinking, who is like a really objectionable actor who's frequently employed by Disney who says the most idiotic political shite on Twitter, and immediately Mark Ruffalo's face appears before my mind. And like he's still employed and he says incredibly dumb shit. But if we treated shilling for socialism in the same way as we treat shilling for Nazism, as
Which we
arguably
absolutely
should,
don't.
which we don't, but
anybody.
which is why I mean that could actually play a part, I think, in the legal question. The actual example they use, funnily enough, it's also in the news. It is Carl Weathers.
Carl.
Yes, recently departed.
Rest in
Okay.
peace.
Yeah, who retweeted this, which actually says pretty much, and it's actually something that's been retweeted by, I think it is the National Holocaust Memorial's Twitter account has made this point as well. It didn't start with gas chambers. It started with one party controlling the media, one party controlling the message, one party deciding what is truth, one party censoring speech and silencing opposition, one party dividing citizens into us and them, and calling on their supporters to harass them. It started when people turned a blind eye and let it happen. That's basically a rewording of or rather, Gina Carano posted a rewording of that because her tweet was about, like how is it different to demonizing your political opponents? And that's the tweet that finally led to Lucasfilm getting rid of her. So that's the example given for sex discrimination, which is it's an interesting choice, Carl Weathers, because I think you could probably. I think the idea here is to make it as unpolitical as possible. Because if you simply said, here's a really left-wing person who said like a really stupid left-wing thing, which I find objectionable, then you're just devolving the legal proceeding into a political slanging match. So they've chosen one from a fairly respected guy who's also making the same point, which is probably wise, to be honest. I think that's the only example of discrimination that they actually mention.
I'm surprised they didn't use Pedro Pascal because I'm pretty sure he's done some of that as well. Not to like the quote unquote extent of what she's done. If that's, I don't know, because I feel like I've seen things that Pedro Pascal has tweeted that have gotten into the news of like, oh, he said this, where it's like incredibly ludicrous. And I'm just surprised they didn't use him as an example because it seems like he's like the biggest one that they could use.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because the appeal is for this to go to a jury trial. So I wouldn't be surprised if other examples, if it gets to that stage, will be brought out. Because it does seem fairly obviously right. Essentially, the allegation or the counter claim that Gina Carano's team is being made is that she has been uniquely demonized on the grounds of making political statements, which are nevertheless politically protected, in the way that other actors, male actors in particular, have not been. And Pedro Pascal would count. And it's interesting as well because a lot of this will probably come down to Lucasfilm's sort of statement on this point. I actually don't know if it's in this brief. I'm assuming that it is. Let me have a look. Because she's effectively, what she wants is minimum $75,000 in compensation, but she also wants to be rehired, which you can do. Courts can force you to rehire because there's federal laws prohibiting retaliation on the books in the United States. And retaliation essentially means if a company is sacking you based upon either your protected characteristics or a complaint you've made against them, or there's a huge list of things which companies are not allowed to fire you for. And if they're found guilty of firing you in retaliation, the court can actually say, no, you have to rehire this person. But I'm trying to find where their statement is, because this is a lot of background stuff. There we are. Yeah, because Lucasfilm's statement when she was first fired is Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. And as far as I can tell from reading the filing, that it's kind of true because she's on a rolling contract. So she's contracted for 1 season per season of The Mandalorian. This was between seasons of The Mandalorian. She'd been told that she would be hired for the Rangers of the New Republic spinoff, which is mentioned there, which will incidentally pay her a lot more money because she was on she was on a really small salary for The Mandalorian. I think it was like $25,000 per episode as opposed to the $250,000 she was offered for Rangers of the New Republic. But the interesting legal question, which I'm aware is probably incredibly tedious and dull for anybody in chat who's not a boring lawyer or an ex-journalist, is whether or not that actually counts, because she's not actually, if they're right, she's not actually employed, her contract is expired, and all they've simply done is not offered her a contract that was unofficially promised to her, then she hasn't technically been fired in retaliation. So that will be interesting on a legal point of view as to whether the claim actually has any grounds, because if she was never employed, then she hasn't been sacked. And if she hasn't been sacked, then it's not, well, that particular aspect of it won't class as discrimination. There is still the argument from sex discrimination, which I think probably and perversely has more legs than the other, like the line I've just mentioned, the one about firing.
Well,
hello,
like,
hey,
could there? Oh, hi, Lofty. Is there possibly like proof that like they were going to have her character in these shows at all already? Like, wouldn't that imply that a new contract wasn't in place, but that's why they denied it? Or am I being naive with that?
I mean, I would suspect that they actually included that line in their statement precisely because they foresaw some trouble coming down the line. So that if you include the mention in your statement that she's not coming back, that she's not an employee anyway, you've effectively ensured that if a lawsuit comes up, that will be cited, and then they can make the argument that she wasn't an employee, so she hasn't been sacked. She was promised, and the brief makes a long list of promises that were made to her on the back of her success in The Mandalorian, her being one of the most popular members of The Mandalorian, one of the ones who garnered, I think it was half of all social media engagement on the back of season 2 was directed at her. And as a response to that, she was promised starring recurring roles in, the Rangers of the New Republic is the prominent one. I think there was another promise made about season 3, which of course she's no longer in. And she was confirmed. This was confirmed. The show was confirmed by Kathleen Kennedy, and she was contacted apparently directly by Jon Favreau, telling her that she was, her life is about to change because she's going to be the starring member in this new show. But that's sort of secondary to the point, because if that's a promise of a contract as opposed to an actual contract, then I don't know what grounds they will have. But the discrimination one's kind of interesting though, because it's one of those perverse things. The law is actually incredibly favorable. One of the origins of like what we call woke capitalism is Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which has been really massively expanded by the EEOC since it was passed to include all manner of things which are not strictly speaking discrimination. So like stereotypes are included, disparate treatment is included as discrimination almost. It's evidence of itself of discrimination. So if she can say that, loads of other male actors made these points that I made, and they weren't sacked, and therefore that is discriminatory practice, actually the origin of woke capitalism could be the bane of woke capitalism in this sense, because she will be appealing effectively to the same legal instrument that's seen companies try to sack people like her to begin with. So that could be interesting to watch, and obviously with Elon Musk backing it. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on Musk's involvement in this particular item.
I think Musk is just the money man for this, right? And his lawyers, or how involved is he in this? Because I thought it was just funding all of these.
Yeah, he's quite involved. Let me God, oh yeah. See, I've sort of been professional in finding things that I can share in advance, but I've been incredibly unprofessional in not figuring out how the fuck that works. I think is it this one? So in theory, this is I didn't load up my porn feed. Fantastic.
Woo!
So
Nice.
yeah, it's Elon Musk is bankrolling
within 15.
he promised back, was it last year, middle of last year, that he would back any claims for a lawsuit based on people being sacked for statements on X, which he now seems to be following through on. But he's still sort of stirring the waters, because it's not just Gina Carano. He has now said if anyone was discriminated against Disney or its subsidiaries, and that includes Marvel and ESPN and ABC and all the rest of them, and Discovery, I think, would be listed as well. He's saying, reply to the post and you're going to get legal support. So he sounds very involved in all of this. And I think, Cynic, you mentioned that he's been snapped with Nelson Peltz recently. There was another tweet as well where someone told him he should just buy Disney, and he responded with a little quizzical emoji. So that's how some rumors going.
I couldn't imagine that he'd be able to afford to buy Disney, but
No.
that would be amazing.
He's losing money with X right now, so he can't buy Disney right now.
No, Bob Iger's kind of fighting like war on multiple fronts because of Nelson Peltz. Peltz isn't like actively involved with Elon or anything, but the proxy war that Peltz and his hedge fund have created to try and I don't know, wrestle some control for the Disney board is interesting in and of itself. But I mean, it all kind of circles back to just what they do, which is like the Nelson Peltz thing. He wants to take over because of what they're doing. It has to do with like DEI. Why do they do this? Why do they fire Gina? Because of the same kind of shit. So it is all kind of wrapped in and of itself. I don't know how. I feel like there have been so many people who have been or who feel like they probably have a case. I don't know how we could possibly cover all these potential legal fees.
I don't like talking about the law stuff. I mean, Platoon sounds like he's more knowledgeable, but like, unless Nick Rekieta is on this stream, I don't know, man. I don't think any of us know what's happening with the law stuff. But the other thing that bothers me, I wanted to say, is that this happens all the time. There's always like 10 different perspectives to these controversies. Like, some people think she was fired for the beep bop boop thing. Other people are saying that she was rightfully fired for the Nazi thing. Other people are saying that she wasn't fired at all, and that she wasn't even employed. And then so there's all these different narratives running around. I was just talking to Matt Jarbo today on his stream about it, and I thought we were going to disagree, but he actually like caved and agreed with everything I said. His only thing is that she should have clarified so she doesn't get what did he say? The consequences of social media or something. It's like social media backlash consequences should be separate from your job. That's just obvious, right?
It sort of depends, because one of the claims that are being made is that it wasn't just that Lucasfilm unjustly fired her for what were legally permissible statements on X. It was also that they continued to defame her, and effectively condoned and arguably even invited the social media backlash from which they did nothing to protect her.
Do you have the tweet where they said there was a spokesperson for Disney that I guess you could argue it was defamation? It was saying that she is like a despicable person, abhorrent behavior or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was a public announcement. They said that she's not currently working for the company, and then they said, nevertheless, we also condone what she said, and that she's like a bigoted person. Is that, maybe that's it? Yeah,
that's the Lucasfilm said. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm. No plans for her to be in the future, even though the brief at least says that they were. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent.
Hey, that's defamation, because she didn't even do that.
Well, no, that's the point. I mean, and because it'd been so long since I'd actually seen what she said. Yeah, I thought, well, I can't remember precisely what she did say about the Holocaust thing, but then you go and check, and it's actually just like, what is she doing? You can make the argument that it's a slightly careless, maybe insensitive parallel to draw, But that's not the
Right.
same as denigrate. Like if you're saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't denigrate your political opponents because that's what they did to the Jews, that's not denigrating the Jews. That's
No, it's
saying
denigrating
that
the
you should,
Nazis.
yes. Yeah.
And it's also comparing. All she did was basically compare modern day divisive governments and which she thinks people are being divisive on purpose to other another era of a divisive government that she doesn't like. People do that all the time. They call right-wing people Nazis, like government people. Like she's talking about the government, she's not comparing Republicans to Jews or other people to Jews. She's saying the government is divisive like the Nazis were. And she's saying that's bad. Like that's so simple to take away from this.
Yeah, there's also the funny little irony, which is that the people who continue to this day to pile on against her, who did so largely in response to that statement that she made about Jews, are now the people who will have, say, Palestinian flags in their bios calling Israel a bunch of Nazis, which is like, I get the impression from that you're not really vexed by the content of what she said. Like you don't like her for her political positions, and so you'll use any excuse to try and get her out, which seems to have worked. And there were other statements as well, which, they're open to debate. You can have an opinion on the efficacy of vaccine mandates, for example. I'm not generally in favor of them, and neither was she. And there's, stuff that has come out since which suggests that perhaps it wasn't the wisest course of action to take, but it's still, it's a valid political opinion. And if you're not allowed to say that, if that's a sackable offense, but telling people that they must get jabbed or they're bad people is not a sackable offense, then you are discriminating against people's political beliefs. That's basically all you're doing in that situation, which I don't think legally you are allowed to do. It's just that the courts are fairly slow on the uptake when it comes to right-wing claims of discrimination, much quicker on the uptake when it comes to left-wing claims of discrimination.
Yeah. And it's just, so many people are calling her anti-Semitic for it. And it's like, how can you be anti-Semitic when you're saying what happened to them was a tragedy? Like that, it's in the tweet. You know what I mean? It's just
also, the guy who was texting her words of support and telling her he's going to change her life by casting her as the lead in Rangers of the New Republic is Jon Favreau, who is himself Jewish.
Right.
And they got on well right up until the point at which she became persona non grata and they didn't. But now, generally, if you're on good terms and working with and friendly with Jews, generally you're not the most anti-Semitic person in the world.
Right. You know who is anti-Semitic? I mean, if you want to do the same logical like interpretation of a tweet that's sort of vague, the chick that said, trying to find her actual tweet, the Scream actress, where she said, here it is. She was talking about, oh man, I wonder if I can pull this up. Here, wait, can I share my screen? Is that okay?
I think you can. If I stop, then you can. So.
Well, let me do this quick.
Finally, someone who knows what they're doing is in charge of the screen share.
You see this? Right, you guys see this, right? Yeah. So this is the Scream actress, and she got fired for it. She says, "I've been actively looking for videos and information about the Palestinian side for the last 2 weeks or so, following accounts, etc. Why? Because Western media only shows the other side. Why they do that, I will let you deduce for yourself." Now, you could interpret this just the same way you can interpret what Gina said. If you want to give her the most bad faith interpretation, you could say that she's saying that all the media, deduce for yourself. I wonder why that is. Is she saying that Jews control the media? It sounds a little bit like it, right? Doesn't
you can read it that way, but it's funny as well because that's almost word for word the formulation that was used in Gina Carano's tweet about history being censored. But people mean vastly, vastly different things with vague statements. It's usually the context that gives them meaning.
Exactly.
And the context of hers is not anti-Semitic, whereas the context of this is, I would say, not anti-Semitic, but like that's the direction in which it would be traveling if you wanted to pursue that line.
Right. And I don't think she should have been fired, in my opinion. I feel like you guys would agree with that, of just for saying this vague thing. I don't know. I mean, I understand. Now, she was, everybody's defending her, but they're, so the hypocrisy is what bothers me. Everyone is, defending this person. And then Gina, because the politics are flopped, that's the only reason, because she's a conservative person, I think. You know, I don't think this person should have been fired either. By the way, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm generally not in favor of firing people about, you know, political agreements, but then I'm also not in favor generally of actors talking about politics because they're always unfailingly fucking dumb. I don't think it's not necessarily true of Gina Carano, but as a rule, I would much rather see less of actors' political prognostications. But yeah, so I guess, oh God, you did it so quickly. Now I have to do it so much more slowly. No. You're just showing me up as being an incompetent host.
Start using some AI, man. It's just advance your.
So yeah, this I guess
I got
finally it. Is thank you very much. This is the thing then that sparks the story off. So Gina Carano announces today then that essentially she's been a long time building this career in Lucasfilm of not only sacked her unjustly, defamed her, and Elon Musk actually has stepped up and fulfilled a promise, which is an interesting one, given that he doesn't always do that. But you know, better late than never.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other thoughts on the Gina Carano thing, or are we moving on
I just want to say that whoever was running the Lucasfilm Twitter account just fucked this company so because they
recently
during this summer during the summer of Carano, like they just whoever was running this account went ham. Like I remember Critical Drinker even made a video about like this account attacking like some random person that responded to one of their posts that had like 2 or 3 fucking subscribers or followers or whatever on Twitter. Like they just like they knew what they were doing. Like they responded to it, and it would basically just sick the dogs on this unsuspecting person. So kudos to whoever was running that account. You really
shout out that intern.
Disney. Shout out to the intern. But you know, someone gave him a free pass to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one instance either. And can you imagine? I reckon, though everyone would still be really unhappy with the way that Star Wars has gone, for example, people would be much less vindictive about the way it's gone had there not been this repeated practice from both Disney and Lucasfilm of actually not just insulting fans with the crap entertainment they're given, but actually insulting them, as in going on Twitter and slagging them off and instigating pile-ons and telling them that they're all racist, bigoted, homophobic nonsense people. That is not smart media strategy if your goal is to get people on side, because you're going to be pissing off a lot more people than you please. It's just that, but it's probably one of those skewing effects that happens back before Elon Musk buys Twitter, and you know, Twitter has immense amounts of leverage and immense amounts of algorithmic pressure being put upon, you know, putting the right message across and censoring the incorrect message, that it skews companies' corporate decisions because you know that you're actually going to be on side with the people that Twitter is boosting as opposed to the people that Twitter is suppressing. So who are you going to target in your social media campaigns? You're obviously going to target the people that the social media company itself thinks are good people that it will boost and champion. So there was an incentive for Disney to do that back in the day. It's just that Twitter isn't real life, as people have to be, you know, you have to keep reminding people this. And in the real world, you know, you give people the Obi-Wan Kenobi show and they're going to be really pissed off and they're going to complain. And you can't just censor that unhappiness out of existence. Speaking of which, I think Ewan McGregor has said today that he wants to do a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Good luck with that.
What do you do with that? Where do you go?
Do
I mean, yeah, I'll take it. More content.
You can take Leia on yet another adventure, which breaks all of the canon.
Dude, they should have just made him a cowboy in the desert.
Yeah, he should have. Like, what was the? I cannot believe this is slipping my mind. The Clint Eastwood movie from the 90s. That one Best Picture. Unforgiven. Yeah. Like, there you go. Like, make a
make it so that there's that like sort of style. This like low crime like organization that the Hutts don't care about, that are like kidnapping children, so that Obi-Wan has to go like, you know, take care of them because they could steal Luke. It's easy, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just have them just do cowboy things.
Dave L was making some contributions in the chat regarding Melissa Barrera. He added some context. There were some additional things that got her fired, he suggests. to quote, I don't know where it's from. Post shared by Barrera have included one about distorting the Holocaust to boost the Israeli arms industry, and another saying Gaza was currently being treated like a concentration camp. Thanks for the context, Dave.
There were other things.
Yeah, I think all in all, though, it is clearly unfair the way they treat it based on what political view it is.
It's unfair how the narrative goes. They're both treated, in this case, they were both treated the same. They're both fired. The narrative is what you're talking about. It's unfair how people will dogpile Gina and then like back up this person.
I think that's almost exactly what's mentioned as well in the civil brief highlighted earlier. One of the claims being made is that Gina Carano's crime in the eyes of Disney and Lucasfilm was going against the dominant narrative of the day. Right. And that's really what got her sacked. And it's not a sackable offense to do that. But yeah, you can tell from the disparate treatment that is pretty much how this thing operates. The reason, Barrera did get fired, but there's a huge number of people in other industries as well as in Hollywood who will say similar things, maybe slightly more tactfully, but very similar things, evincing exactly the same politics, at least as loudly as Gina Carano when they're still in employment. Right. I think the Grammys probably had a bunch of pro-Palestine stuff. Not that I watched it because I don't give a damn about women winning awards. But it's a load of.
They had Dua Lipa. That's all I cared about.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think like Annie Lennox stood up and she was like ceasefire, blah blah blah. But and Pedro Pascal compared me to a Nazi. I can't remember who he compared, but somebody.
That's amazing, Lofty.
Like conservatives or something,
I think it was Republicans.
Republicans? Well, yeah. I'm not really I guess I am. I don't know.
Wait, did he go after you specifically?
No, but like me, he attacked people with specific beliefs and called them a bunch of Nazis, and
I think it was Republicans. I think he tweeted out like, if you're a Republican, you're a Nazi or something.
Yeah, but what does that mean? If you vote,
I don't know. Ask him. I don't know what he said.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant.
He said it.
So all those Democrats who are paid to vote for Trumpist populist candidates in elections to get them running against Democrats are temporarily and conveniently Nazis in order to get more Democrats elected. I don't think Pedro Pascal knows the difference between a Republican and a conservative. But that's again goes back to the point about actors should really not be talking about politics because they are not intelligent people by and large.
Do the acting thing. Do the thing you're good at. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. E says best thing about more Obi-Wan show, more entertaining YouTube reviews.
Maybe I think
that's
review
like Star Wars MCU. Yeah, you should if they do.
I didn't do the first season because the first season just made me depressed. Ahsoka just made me angry.
This can be therapeutic for you.
It could.
Honestly, the first season of Obi-Wan was funny. Yes, it's depressing.
Yeah,
if you get over that, once you get over that, it's just funny. Like they were not walking around the laser gate, fighting people to turn it off when you could just. And they show the panning walk around it. Darth Vader following Obi-Wan down to a planet and asking him if he came there to destroy. Like, who the fuck wrote shaky cam on distance shots? What's going on?
Shaky cam on every shot.
So good.
It's funny in the same way that like people make accidentally funny bad movies sometimes. Like I thought Echo was funny. I was reviewing it, or editing this review. I was shocked. I didn't watch it, but until I reviewed it for your thing. But like when that guy pulled out a bazooka and was gonna just kill a bunch of people,
fucking the RPG so in the cooler. What's going on?
Like, there was a cooler with like an RPG inside of it. And he just goes casually pulls it out. There's no explanation. And then he was gonna kill people for no reason. Like it just nothing made sense at all. And then those monster truck guys may have died, and the guy just like he's gonna get away with it. Just kill. I don't understand what happened in that last episode, man. It's just insane. It's so funny though.
Yeah, it's the only thing that kept me going. Honestly, that's one of the hardest scripts I've ever written. It was so fucking dull, but there are funny bits in it.
Yeah.
God, I'm glad I didn't watch that for the
I didn't either
compilation video I was gonna put out. I almost watched it, and I got through half of the first episode, and I had to stop. I'll do it.
That's probably the best it ever gets as well. Is the first half of episode 1.
Oh,
did you see Daredevil though? Daredevil showed up in the first episode. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I didn't even get to that part, so I don't know.
What's crazy? I didn't watch the episode, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm only going off of what people said. But the whole big villain of the story is Kingpin, right? He's very he's in the show a lot as a villain, right?
Yeah, he is. Well,
Okay.
yeah. If you want to,
Okay.
it's arguably. I don't even know if it's fair to call him the Kingpin because he's a different character, and they turn him into this fat crying
what I
baby
gathered.
child. But yeah, technically he's in the show.
Okay, so Daredevil is like, especially in season 3, like he's very obsessed with like Kingpin and getting him back in prison because he really hates Kingpin from season 1 and like all the terrible shit he did, right? It would make sense for him to be like very involved in Kingpin and his escape from prison, or him being in any mass like organized crime syndicate at all. Like he'd be very involved in his arrestment. But in the show, he just leaves, right? Like Daredevil shows up in episode 1 and then doesn't show up ever again.
Yeah, he's in that one scene. He turns up. He says, because Echo and the goons have just killed some people, and then he says, "I was watching them all night," and then they fight, and then he beats her, but then he doesn't stop her or arrest her. He just leaves, and then she gets up and she's fine, and then he's never back again. Apparently, he was supposed to be in it a lot more, but they cut him out because they changed things around.
Why?
I don't know.
To be in the story.
You would think, yeah.
If he just leaves, it's like character damage that he doesn't care about anything. It's the same thing with She-Hulk.
Yeah, and the tragic thing as well is that is now canon, because that is now officially the same Daredevil as the Daredevil from the Daredevil show that was actually well received, because they've canonized that in order to link it to first She-Hulk, then Echo, even though the Kingpin in Echo is not the same as the Kingpin in Daredevil, in order then to link it into Daredevil Born Again. And the only useful information you're going to have about from Echo is that Kingpin will be running for or already have become the mayor of New York. And that's all you really need to know.
Speaking of which, did you see the set leaks? Or not the set leaks, because Disney leaked it themselves. But the like promotional fake leaks that came out today, I think it was today, of Daredevil Born Again.
No.
I'll put it in
Have
the
you
chat.
got them?
Yeah.
I saw something yesterday. I thought it looked fake, so probably
that
not.
I linked the new suit, or a picture of the new suit on Twitter in the chat.
Oh, for fuck's sake! You're gonna make me. You're gonna make me.
This is what I saw. This is a fucking nightmare.
Here we
Dude,
go.
And that's a video of other stuff. Let me see.
Ta-da! It's there. I think that looks appalling.
We don't see it.
That looks. I'll hang on. I'll save it so I can try and.
Oh wait, no. Add to stage. There it is.
Oh, cool.
That looks appalling,
dude.
Oh my goodness.
What's up with his eyes? Like his eyes aren't
looks
covered.
Like if you scroll down, someone says we've seen this costume before, and it shows Deadpool, and yeah, it just makes this look like a cosplay version of.
Oh
really
yeah,
great.
Yeah. Let me find
my
the suit
goodness.
from the Daredevil show, just for comparison.
Oh no.
The yellow one? Oh, there.
is that going to be an action scene?
Yeah, I guess I hope they're testing or like just like rehearsing it. I hope that's not the actual shot they use.
Remember,
also
there
that guy's supposed to be Bullseye, the guy that he's tackling.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh wait, let me get the picture
closer
of
to
the
what
suit.
Bullseye looks like in the comic books.
Let me find the picture.
To be fair,
that's a fun job, isn't it? Look at this.
Copy.
That would be fun. Man,
There, I linked
actors are lucky.
the Bullseye suit.
The Bullseye suit. Sorry, I'll grab that now. Hey, I'm getting good at this. I can do it so much quicker.
It's gotta be Kane. It's the big red machine.
That looks.
Why'd they cover his face? His face is like his best. Like Bullseye's really cool in season 3.
Yeah,
and they're just gonna cover his face.
Why does he have a belly?
I was gonna say he's got a bit of a gut going on there.
He did not work out. He did not care.
He's on his period. Leave him alone.
Looks like Gimp Man as opposed to Bullseye.
Yeah, bring out the gimp.
Did you guys like Colin Farrell's Bullseye?
No, God,
I'd rather
I mean,
take him. I don't know what
It's
this
a little
is.
corny,
it's
but
so cringe.
yeah,
Oh my God.
back in the day.
It's been so long since I've seen that film, but I bet it actually compares really well to most modern stuff.
Probably.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that the one with the Evanescence song in it? When the rain's falling or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I remember
They
now.
play that
Wake
song
me
many
up
times too.
Oh,
Wake
okay.
Oh
me
my
up,
I take it back. I take back everything I just said.
But yeah, Daredevil
And,
Born Again's not looking too good.
Oh,
It
do you
really
remember
isn't.
when Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner or Gardner or whichever one, I don't know. Like they were in this really, I don't know, it was a cringy fight and they were doing it in front of children and it was like all the kids were really impressed. And it looked like it reminded me of like a late 90s music video, like the way it was edited.
Oh, didn't they fight on a seesaw or something?
Yeah, it was on a seesaw.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ah, that film. Yeah. Me. Okay, that was a bit shit.
David can't wake up. Wake me up inside.
Hey, we got
gosh.
some people like that.
And it's crazy that
speaking
they scrapped like 6 episodes of Born Again and then reset. And this
Yeah,
is
I
what
wonder how
we're getting.
bad that was.
Yo, I'm pretty sure they've cut down the episode length too, right? Didn't they?
Yeah.
It was originally
It's
19
gonna be like
episodes
18
or
Oh,
18,
holy
yeah.
19.
So
Yeah.
these showrunners, I like them. First of all, they make good horror movies. They also, well, they kind of. I don't really blame them for Loki season 2, even though it sucked. What they couldn't do anything about that script. It was just all over the place. But I like their horror movies. They're really good. Benson and Moorhead. They are the reason why Punisher is in the show. You guys know this? They demanded it, and
that's right.
I think Jon Favreau gave the go ahead. Or it could be somebody else. I can't remember, but they were the ones who were like, we need to bring back John Bernthal. We need to cut the episodes down from 18 to like 9.
9?
Yeah.
I
or
just
Oh,
think maybe
wow.
like
10,
12 or 13.
12 or
Yeah,
13.
it's-
But I don't know. It sounds like they're making some good decisions, and
Yeah.
I don't know. And I really
I
like
know
the horror movies. They're fantastic.
The guy that did the martial arts for the first, or like the choreography for the first 3 seasons is coming back as well. I think I saw that somewhere.
Oh,
So the fights will
Interesting.
look cool. But
yeah. I don't know.
is the writing team the same as before it was scrapped? Because I think
don't know.
they scrapped the
I
creative
don't
team.
know.
I don't feel like doing all that research because there's going to be how many? There's probably like they probably went through like 6 different writers at this point, and I'm not going to get the right
Probably
one.
more than that.
Well, when it comes out, I'll watch it. How about that?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
When is it
decide
coming
if
out?
it's good.
No idea.
It says it's
Next
going
year?
to premiere next year.
Yeah.
Huh?
I am watching Halo season 2 tomorrow though, or
Oh,
Saturday.
is that tomorrow?
Oh, that's
Thursday.
tomorrow.
Wait.
Thursday.
So-
Thursday. It's Thursday. It's 2 days from now. That is a brand new writers team, and that is a brand new showrunner, and that is they completely retconned a bunch of stuff apparently, according to a lot of people
Really?
who've seen it already. I'm excited for it. I hope it's good.
It would have to be a brand new writers team because any normal justice system would have put the other writing team in a ditch and burned them. So you'd have to get a new bunch in.
Yeah.
By retcon a bunch of stuff, I assume you mean retcon stuff from Halo Season 1 as opposed to...
Yes, apparently Collider talked about it. They already watched it. They said that they did away with the relationship, that sexual stupid relationship that he had with that girl. They retconned what happened with
Right.
Cortana at the end of the season. And what else did they say? Basically, Pablo Schreiber is throwing these writers under the bus. He's saying shit that I've never heard an actor say before. He says
that
like
guy?
he's the Halo. He's chief. He's chief. Sorry.
Oh,
He's yeah. I don't have the exact quote, but he's saying, you can go look it up. He says stuff like, This season, we got a new writers team, and they're much better. They write way more realistic dialogue. And he's saying these
Damn.
things, and it's like
They keep his helmet
you know,
on longer.
no, that's the only thing that I disagree with him about still.
Oh yeah, he wants his face to be shown.
But what if you heard an actor come out and say that, like, oh yeah, our previous writers team sucked ass, so we got better ones? Like, I've never heard anybody say that.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And nobody's talking about it. They're all just, I mean, I think people just really want this to be terrible so they can do videos about it. But
Yeah.
I actually hope it's good. I don't know. Because, you know, I would love a good Halo thing, finally. Like, why? It's not that hard.
It would, I mean, I prefer relaunches to retconning, though. I just think
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then anything goes. There's no settled rule. There's no actual plot. I'm assuming they can't not have him dead, can they? Because he's dead at the end of season 1.
Well, I think he dies and then is revived by Court. I don't know. I watched it and I don't even know what happened.
No. Because the first scene of season 2 is like, lol, no, he's fine. We're just like
It's gonna
electroshock
be like
him.
Extraction, where he's like very clearly dead, and then Extraction 2, it's like, we found his body and he's alive.
Look, the worst part of that show was that little girl that they focused on the whole show for no reason at all. She was a terrible actress. The Asian girl, the orphan. Why do they
God,
have
I
an
didn't even
orphan?
remember her. But yeah, you're right.
Oh,
She's in it.
dude. They had this orphan subplot for this is Halo we're talking about. Why are we talking about some orphan and some kid that runs around with that does nothing?
Yeah, I want to be seeing Master Chief making some orphans. I don't want to be following the orphans.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. All they have to do is Halo 1 combat. Like
All they have to do is adapt the video game story. It's
well,
that
they don't
easy.
even have to do it exact, but all they have to do is set it on a Halo ring and then have, if they want to add some more stuff in it, but don't add these characters that are unnecessary, like an orphan girl that he has to babysit the entire show. I don't know.
Was that like a Mandalorian response? Like, having the guy, with a child thing, lugging the child around the universe, even though it makes no sense because, hey, it worked for Mando.
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. Honestly, that's part of the reason why I don't like the Phantom Menace is because it felt like they were babysitting him the whole movie, and I'm just like, can we move on to like an interesting storyline?
No.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
pod
know.
racing time.
Pod
racing.
Is pod racing.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fucking annoying. Yeah, no children on screen, please. Children make everything worse.
Listen, the pod racing level in Lego Star Wars is
true.
the best
It's
one.
fun. It's fun. Man.
And to be like Star Wars Racer Revenge on the PS2 was also good fun. So some good stuff came out of it. I had all the toys. The toys were great. The character and the scene itself, not so much. But yeah.
But the music.
Oh god, Halo
awesome.
Season 2. Cynic, are you a Halo person? You play games?
I haven't in quite some time, but I have never played Halo though. Never a Halo guy. No.
I don't think it should matter if you have or not. Like the show.
No, it certainly should.
Yeah, like there's enough story in that show that you can just latch onto if you have never played it. It's already powerful, kind of as it is. The problem is the writing. Why are they hire? Why does people these studios hire like adolescent children to write like the Echo script? If you just think about what happens in that show, like honestly, I've read screenplays from like freshmen in college that are much more interesting than that. Like I don't understand why these people are getting jobs.
Because
I don't know where
they're just like, give them to them.
Do you think there's not enough good writers, or do you think they just pick the worst ones, or do you think it's based on quotas or something? Like,
I worked. Okay, so I didn't work with. Sorry, I met a friend for New Year's, and she works in the. She works in New York, and she hires for like plays and things. But she's worked in Hollywood as a casting director too. And she's a very liberal person. So it's just really funny to be sitting at dinner and she's talking about how DEI has completely taken over all of these aspects of production from writing down. And
is she secretly complaining about it? or no?
She is like.
Oh, okay, like that.
Yeah.
Well,
So I'm not gonna, yeah.
Bro,
I'm not
put on
gonna,
a pair of glasses like James O'Keefe did on the Exposer. I'm kidding.
no, but it's just so
Yeah.
it's there.
it's
There was
It's
the
there.
thing Elon Musk shared earlier after the Gina Carano stuff was, and it's, I'm very wary of any anonymous sourced thing. So an anonymous source sent him this
Oh,
apparently official list of things which is operative at Disney. And if it's operative at Disney, you can imagine it's operative everywhere else as well, which is essentially across the board, whether it's on-screen talent, behind-the-scenes talent, casting directors, anyone like producers, makeup people. The minimum is you have to fulfill 3 of 5 criteria in order for it to be acceptable, and each of them is like minimum 50% representation for marginalized groups, minimum 50% people who are new to the industry, etc. Like all of these things. So yeah, it's believable, even if you do distrust the anonymously sourced aspect of it. It does seem to be what's happening. So I'm willing to run with the assumption that is in fact what is occurring. There is a literal quota. The funny thing is, right at the bottom, there's a little disclaimer that says you're legally not allowed to ask candidates about their actual racial background, religious belief, philosophical belief, political background, blah, 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 but you are enjoined to take account of what you perceive it to be in making the hiring decision, which is how they get around like equalities law, which is supposed to prohibit casting on those grounds. So
they're pretty much just assuming like everything about them.
Yes, because you're legally not allowed to not do that. So you can bring a black person into the room for hiring, and you can't ask them if they're black. But if you look at them and you think, well, he's basically black, then you can hire him. But as long as you don't ask if he's black, then that would be illegal.
Oh God. Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Because that's how the law works. The law is an incredibly sane and sensible thing that's not at all open to abuse like that.
Yeah. I just think there's gotta be more writers out there that are being ignored. Well, we already knew this before all this woke stuff really was a thing. I mean, I remember watching a documentary in high school about how like 95% of all screenplays in period never get read or made. And it was like, these are like, big name like screenwriters, like William Friedkin was talking about how he, and Del Toro, I think, has had like 30 plus movie projects that were turned down by big studios. So that's already a problem. They focus on the 5%, and then like 80% of those are like Wall Street money, like how can we make money off of this, and they don't really care about the artistic stuff. But now you have like quotas, so now it's shrinking, so it's like the talent pool is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And I don't want to go off on like a sexist rant right now, but I could.
Oh, do it. Why not?
Just do it.
This is the place.
Well, it's just like, I'm telling you, I'm just like, I have been paying close attention to I watch a lot of shows, television shows. And I notice just whenever a woman, or I'll be watching an episode and I'll be like, you know what? I bet a woman wrote this. And I'm usually right. And it's weird because I don't like to discriminate against women in general, because there's some of my favorite, like Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think Mary Herron, or is that her name? The American Psycho.
I have a black friend argument.
No, what I'm saying is I want there to be good female writers, but even I'm noticing that this is becoming a problem. And
it's that you're not just doing the discriminating, though. The reason that is the case is because people have been discriminating in order to get those particular women into that job to begin with. So the positive discrimination is what puts people who are not yet qualified in positions where they are going to be ridiculed by people who basically want good entertainment. But it's always happened. I slightly know the author Helen Dale, who really got famous. She did the Kingdom of the Wicked books, the most recent stuff, but she really became famous when she wrote a book. I can't remember what it was called, annoyingly. The book is about Ukrainian refugees from the Second World War, and she got the Australian equivalent of the Booker Prize by calling herself Helen Demidenko. In other words, she was masquerading as a Ukrainian refugee herself to Australia, and solely because of that, she was given this award. And then it became a massive scandal when she really revealed after the fact, hang on, I'm actually not that, and you only awarded me your highest literary prize because you thought something about my identity that wasn't true. Now, that was in the 80s or the 90s, I think it was. I mean, this has been going on for a very long time.
I'm not going to name drop this person because I know them personally, but what you just said is identical to what happened to me. A friend of mine submitted this is crazy, dude. This is white guy, right? Like me, just like, just like a regular
White guy, just like me.
submitted a story. Okay. Submitted a story to like a national short story, which had something to do with social justice. It was some sort of poetic social justice kind of competition, creative writing. He ended up winning this competition. And you know what his story was? A first person in a point of POV of a migrant. And he never disclosed this, and he ended up winning, and people were questioning, like, why is this white guy writing a POV about a migrant story and then winning awards and taking awards away from actual migrants that are submitting stories? Anyway, I just kind of,
because like a disproportionate number of migrants are functionally illiterate, so you're not going to be expecting them to actually write the books. That's the annoying thing, is that, again, award shows, if they live up to the thing that they were founded to live up to, these are supposed to award talent. And part of the point of writing fiction is your ability to put yourselves in the minds of people who are not you. I like fantasy fiction. I have never been a hobbit, but I still like The Lord of the Rings. And I like to think I could still write a fictional magical fantasy character despite never having been one before. That's the whole point of the experience. You can read stories about refugees' experiences, and you can put yourselves in their shoes, and then you can create a great work of art which is rewarded for its artistic merits. If, on the other hand, your sole basis as an award show, which is basically what most awards these days are, is to award the person and not the work of art, then, of course, you get really het up when it turns out the person who said they were a refugee wasn't really a refugee.
Right, but I'm saying this was specifically for like he won money for it. It was like specifically to kind of promote like immigrants, and I was like, why did you join this? And he was just like, well, I wanted to win a writing competition. I'm like, well, everybody else who entered this competition is an actual migrant, right? Anyway, it just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I don't know. But it rubbed me the wrong way because this person is the most progressive person I know, and he's like always scolding me for not being, not for making fun of like migrants or something. I'm just like, well, what the fuck? You're the hypocrite. Anyway, no, you're right. It should be about the merits, right? About these awards, but it's not. It's about optics. Look at Barbie and the stupid Barbie nonsense, right? Not being nominated. It's like
not being nominated, except for all the awards it was nominated for. But
and then
it was snubbed, guys.
And then that black guy, what's that black guy who's nominated for Best Supporting Actor? He said, it's not Rustin Cole, it's the other guy. He said something profound about this, which I
remember that.
He essentially said that Downey Jr. is going to win the award, and that Downey Jr. deserves to win the award, and that he's just excited to be nominated. And the way he said it, his name is Sterling Brown, right? Like let me pull this up quick. It's very short. It's right here. Let me know if you can see this. Right, you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Coleman will probably win. I know that I'm not going to win.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Totally fine with it. Totally fine with it.
Don't fight.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. is gonna win, and he's incredibly deserving. He's an incredible actor. Like, you should give him love. And the fact that I get a chance to be nominated along with him and Mr. De Niro and Ryan Gosling and Ruffalo, I'm just happy to be in the room.
Wow.
One of the only people in existence who's happy to be in the same room as Mark Ruffalo, but otherwise I applaud the statement.
Yeah, I agree. Ruffalo's cringe. But I applaud the statement, and I said basically what I said was that I think Margot Robbie should come out and say something similar, because why wouldn't Margot Robbie not agree that it's about merit and not about optics? Like, maybe she thinks she deserves it, but I doubt that she would say that
anything.
I don't think so. Like, I want her to, because I doubt that she would say that Carey Mulligan doesn't deserve to be up there. She gave an amazing performance, and so did Emma Stone. So why wouldn't Margot say that? And maybe she did. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, think how much more popular and better received she'd be had she come out and said, you know what? No, I applaud everyone who was nominated ahead of me. They're all deserving. I'm just happy to have been in the conversation. That's all you need to say.
That's all you need to say, and that would end the entire discussion. Now we have Ryan Gosling feeling like he's under pressure to not perform at the Oscars because everyone hates him for for being nominated
good in the role.
Yeah, dude, it's embarrassing. I don't know. I feel like honestly, I think Ryan doesn't think he belongs there.
Yeah, you
I
see
don't
that clip of when like
don't even
I'm
think
just
he
Cat
belongs
won, and then he was just like looking weird.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't even think he belongs in that category, to be honest. I've seen better supporting acting performances this year, and I like him in that movie. But
No, he's literally me, and literally me deserves it.
yeah, but like other people from Oppenheimer, like they were just as good as him, if not better. I don't know.
Yeah, but that was the popularity one.
Yeah,
That's why it's
He-
there.
he's funny. He's fine. It's like when Robert Downey was nominated for Tropic Thunder, and then it
Yeah,
was
I
like,
feel like he was only nominated for that movie because the best actor category was like really packed that year, and he was in Iron Man.
oh,
And they were like, "Well, we got to nominate him for something because he was amazing this year." So they threw him a bone.
right.
That's honestly, that's how I feel about that role. I
Oh, that-
do not think it's that good. I mean,
Well-
it's funny, but it's yeah.
Well, no, it's a great comedic performance. I'm just like, I think this is a similar nomination because Ryan Gosling is not it's another very comedic, funny, like kind of sarcastic performance. Now Downey lost to Heath Ledger back in 2008 for that.
Yeah, he was destined to lose.
Yeah, he was destined to lose Best Supporting Actor, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because Robert Downey's probably going to win this one and knock off Ryan Gosling, but I don't know. It's not that serious. I just think Hollywood people like that are based when they come out and just say, "Hey, it's about merit, guys." Didn't you know? Didn't you know that
imagine.
Downey Jr. is probably better than my performance, and that's okay.
Well, with the Grammys a couple nights ago, like didn't Jay-Z just recently come out and say something about how like Beyonce is the most awarded Grammy
Probably.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
she's never
whatever.
got best album.
But
Is that the
right,
one?
but she never got best album, and I'm like, so did she make the best album that year? And are any of the fucking albums that actually get awarded the best? It's the Grammys.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Like, I highly doubt that. I think like Paramore won like best rock. I don't know. I decided to flip through that's how far that thing has fallen. Is like when I was young, I used to always watch the Grammys and the Academy Awards and stuff. And now I forgot they even happened. I flipped through the winners today.
Did anyone there deserve their award?
I don't know. Taylor Swift won.
I know she
Right.
won, but
I know she's wrapped up in a
So the answer to
popularity
the answer to that question is no. Then, yeah, that was another. I think I saw an article. Speaking of women being everywhere, there was an article about the Grammys being so brilliantly full of so many talented women. Pop is now a women's domain. Yeah, but I don't want to listen to any of that. That all sounds shit.
Right.
Dua Lipa was there. That's all I need.
Yeah, and they're all I don't know, man. I think Grammys are the most popularity contest like of all of the award shows. If you think about it, it's just the most popular people on the planet Earth always win, and it's not how it is with the Academy Awards necessarily. It's actually a little bit. You know what? That's one thing I'll give credit to the Academy for is like they pull up. Parasite won a bunch of awards, which was nice. And I think it deserved to win a bunch of awards. I think the best movies of the year are not always the most popular movies. Is very often the case. I don't know, unless it's like Lord of the Rings or something, right? Lord of the Rings.
Like that's the last time that matched up.
Yeah, like it doesn't always match up, but sometimes it matches up very well. Like I would say, The Empire Strikes Back, maybe, or maybe even Jurassic Park should have won Best Picture. I think personally. I think that was the best movie of the year, but it's not always the case. Like, I don't think Top Gun Maverick or Mario or Barbie are the best movies of the year. I think Oppenheimer might be, but maybe that does match up with its popularity.
I think it does, but then that was one of those
really good.
It was. I mean, so was Oppenheimer was not only popular, but it was also critically lauded and generally recognized as a good film. From what I can remember of the list for the Academy Awards, the only one I thought that didn't deserve to be there at all was Barbie. Everything else, I could see why, which makes it probably a fairly good year for the Oscars.
It is a good year. I'm going to do an Oscar stream and talk about all this stuff, but I think it's one of the better years for for Best Picture, for Best Actor, but all of the awards. I think they're all fantastic. It's just a lot of people haven't seen Poor Things or The Holdovers or Zone of Interest and or Maestro, but these are all good movies. It's just they're not marketed. It just happens to be a good year. This is not like a Black Klansman, like whatever the year that was terrible. I can't remember what year that was.
20
like Black Klansman, Green Book. You know what I mean? Some years are just lackluster.
I feel like this is a good year to point out. Like, I feel like if Oppenheimer did even half or a third of the box office it could still snag a Best Picture nomination because it was a good movie. And I feel like Barbie was only nominated because of how much money it made.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction
Really?
losing to Forrest Gump.
Really? Like, say Barbie was the exact same movie and it made like $400 million. Does anyone give a shit? That's not getting nominated.
Nope.
I'll tell you why I disagree. It's because there's a lot of people that think that movie's a masterpiece. Like, there's a fuck ton of people. There's even a lot of like movie people think that just because of its sort of surface level stylistic choices, they're like, oh, this movie's
like
so
when
Pino,
I was in 8th grade and thought The Matrix was like, I thought I was a really clever person.
I mean,
I thought
sort of.
the greatest thing ever. So deep. There are just layers.
There's a lot of layers to Barbie. There's a lot of references to other like classic movies, like The Red Shoes. You could say it's like on a surface level, it's like very, very aesthetically cool and hip.
Yeah,
but,
it looks cool.
So there's a lot of, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people that love that movie. They've seen it 50 times. It doesn't matter how much money it made. I don't think necessarily. I just there's this weird cult following behind it also, but it's not great. It's not a good movie.
Well, we had a couple more topics I wanted to bring up. I have not played the game, but the Suicide Squad controversy has been pretty interesting to follow.
Yes. I'll be right back.
So essentially what is going on, from the gist of it that I've gathered since I haven't played the game, is that a lot of people are unhappy in the nature of which, it's implied in the title that the Justice League is going to die. It's called Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. So it is implied they're going to meet their maker. But people are really unhappy in the unceremonious way in which they've been dispatched. Particularly Batman is the one that I've been harping on. I saw myself and didn't appreciate it. This probably wouldn't spark as much outrage if it was like an Otherworld, just whatever, multiverse throwaway. But they decided to base the game in the Arkham universe, is also what I've taken away from this.
Yeah.
It's a real shame in which the way Batman's met his fate. I didn't know if anyone else is caught up on this and wanted to gather everybody else's thoughts.
I've just seen like other clips of stuff, like when Flash dies, Boomerang kisses on him, which I was like, that's kind of just funny. But there's other jokes in the movie, the game that it's just not funny. The humor seems really like lackluster. The combat seems boring. I think if they did it with instead of the Justice League, it was like the Crime Syndicate. Because that's like an alternate universe Justice League, but they're evil, I'm pretty sure, because it has like Owlman and then Ultraman instead of Superman and Batman. That could have been interesting. Or do like an Injustice type storyline where just all of the Justice League decide to become evil. And then like maybe Batman is like, hey, I need the Suicide Squad to help me with this. But like the trailers that were out like 6 months ago for Kill the Justice League seemed pretty cool. A lot of really neat ideas in it. Like there's the one scene where Wonder Woman like grabs Flash in The Lasso of Truth and is like, how do I stop this? And then Flash just looks up and says, you gotta kill us, Diana, you gotta kill all of us. And it's just like a bunch of rapid cuts to all of the Justice League members, aka the bosses you're gonna have to fight, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be cool. But the boss fights don't seem that interesting. It seems very dull in terms of gameplay, but I also haven't played it either. And yes, the Batman death is very lazy.
I heard that the majority of them are pretty unceremonious, but that Wonder Woman's isn't. And so I found that particularly
they very much correct for Wonder Woman. The entire world mourns her death, to the point where you have a loudspeaker hailing how brilliant and lovely and awesome she was, and everyone's really sad, and the music's really sad because she's the most powerful hero that Metropolis has ever known. Don't you know? And, they never knew about Superman or Batman or anybody else. No, Wonder Woman is the one who saw through the lies of toxic masculinity, which is the biggest threat that the superhero world has ever faced. And that sort of goes hand in hand with a lot of the biography stuff that was written alongside, where hers is just fawning. And it's like the guy who wrote it, because it was probably a guy. It's either a woman who was a lesbian or it was a guy who was just dripping with like
a twink,
everything that he shouldn't be. And just, so unbelievably cringe. I almost got this game because I found myself with a little bit of spare time and I thought, I want to see what all the fuss is about. But I thought, well, I'll check first and I'm going to watch Mauler play it for a bit. And I dipped in and out because I could only stomach it in about 5-minute intervals without getting epilepsy. Because it's such a noisy
it's a little
game.
Fortnite-y.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like everything about it sort of aligns against it. If you were to ask to list everything that is wrong with modern AAA titles, you can pretty much find it in Suicide Squad, Canadian Healthcare Squad, whatever you want to call it. Live service, exorbitantly priced for a tiny campaign that you then have to pay extra to finish. Pointless skins, which again, you can either complete missions to get, or you can pay extra to get them. The fact that all of the attention seems to have been paid toward the live service aspects and not the actual core gameplay experience. I think the campaign is about 9 hours long, isn't it? Which means you have to work on a minimum wage job about 9 hours to afford the base game, which is the exact same amount of time it takes to finish. And then you have to pay more on top of it. Then the complete disregard and disrespect shown to the actually much loved heroes without any conception of what their death actually means in the universe. In other words, this is not trying to tell a story. What happens to the world if Superman is killed, by the way? Like, do we care? No, nobody cares. It's just an excuse to make a really cheap joke at his expense. Same thing with everybody else. The waste of Kevin Conroy and what is now is not his final role because the reception was so bad that they've said, oh no, trust me guys, he's got another one.
He's coming back.
This can't possibly be the end now.
What scrapped lines do we have that he said once?
Yeah, like the bullet sponge bosses, which are just the gameplay. The whole thing is visually designed to distract you from how mundane the gameplay experience is.
Yeah.
And so it's really just, you fire your gun endlessly at this person and then eventually they'll die. Maybe you avoid some environmental hazards. But hey, look how bright and pretty and colorful it is. Look at all the screen effects and the numbers flying all over the screens. It's like visual vomit. It's horrible. It was horrible to watch, to listen to, because it's hard to know whether to blame voice actors. I'm more inclined to blame the writers who give them such awful dialogue, though I do think the voice actors really left a lot to be desired. But the dialogue is appalling. The number of awkward long pauses after what was supposed to be a joke, during which they expect the audience to be laughing, and instead you're sitting there thinking, wait, you thought that was funny? It's so awkward to watch. So I'm glad I saved myself the money in the end.
Yeah, actually,
There's
I watched
only, one joke that was funny to me.
Oh, and the whole. Did you play it, Andrew?
No, I just saw. I've been just watching.
Oh yeah, people. Are you talking about the one joke that? What was it again? It was who was somebody said something funny, and somebody was like, "I'm surprised there's one funny joke in this game."
Oh no, the joke was Boomerang, who's a Flash villain, sees Superman, and he's like, "Hey, Superman's here," and then he's like, "Ah, fuck, it's Superman."
Oh, okay, I saw that.
That's neat.
That's funny.
It got a lull out of me once.
Yeah, but the gameplay, Platoon's right. I watched Mahler play it for about 5 minutes, and I got epilepsy, and then I had to go to the hospital. I'm kidding, but it's so all over the place, and he was cringing. He died, and he was like, "Guys, I can't barely even play this game." It was so hard to watch.
So with the Wonder Woman execution, apparently, actually having some weight behind it and not just being a quick dispatch. I saw a video by Yellow Flash. He posted, I think it was like 6 or 7 days ago, and he was talking about some participants in the writing department, and this was really interesting. So there are these people. See if I can share this. Can you see that?
I can bring it on the screen. Hold on a second.
Not yet.
Yes, we can now.
Okay. So I'll read it.
What?
So this is Sweet Baby Inc. And
Oh, yeah.
they helped write parts
Okay.
of of the Suicide Squad. So They're About Us is founded in 2018. Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. So
I feel like I'm in a daycare looking at this screen.
I know it is really intense. But this topic's just rooted in the exact same thing we were talking about before. This is the kind of thing that they hire and integrate into their writing department. Like that's how we get certain things.
It is, and it was why I think I mentioned this back when it happened. But when Anita Sarkeesian's Feminist Frequency shuts down, and everyone has a good laugh about how shit she is and how shit it was. It wasn't really something to be celebrated, though, because the reason it shut down is that there was no need for it anymore, because the people it was serving are now in the industry. It wasn't that they were beaten, it's that Sweet Baby Inc. exists. So there's no reason now to be preaching to a very small audience of non-converted people when your job has already been done for you. That there are barbarians in the gates. They're dressed in pink, and they call themselves Sweet Baby.
And they've worked on Spider-Man, Suicide Squad, Alan Wake 2, Ragnarok, God of War.
And they keep getting hired as well. Eventually, that you'd think money will have to talk, and they will be associated with so many previously popular IPs that have just completely died, largely for the same reasons. That people will start to say, we can't actually afford this largesse anymore. But that probably will be a little while coming. There's going to be more of this stuff. I very much fear.
Isn't that organization like exploding in terms of getting more work now?
Exploding in a good or a bad way from its perspective?
In a good way. Well, for them, I'm saying, aren't they just getting way more work now than they were?
Yeah.
I think so.
Years ago?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the number of recent big releases just on that list there, I mean, that's a pretty like there's some big money games going on there that they've been invited onto. Presumably, I think with Suicide Squad, they were invited in something like 6 months before wrap up. So even if it was quite a recent thing, they still had plenty of time to do their inglorious work.
Do you think it's a cyclical thing though, where it's gonna just like any other thing has a cycle of popularity and then sort of like political correctness, like it's popular and then it's not? I think with Sweet Baby Inc., eventually developers are going to be like, this is not worth it. Like, but it might take like 5, 6, 7 years for that to happen. Based, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're gonna just keep doing this forever. People are already tired of it.
No, I mean, eventually it will run out, but there are still a tremendous number of incentives in play for studios to hire these people. Now, eventually, as I say, money will win in the end, and if they keep losing immense amounts of money, and there's a common factor, but at the moment, it's not just a financial incentive. There's legal incentives to do it. It goes back to what we were talking about with the Gina Carano stuff and the imposition of quotas and equalities legislation, which effectively it incentivizes these sorts of practices, because you can really suffer if you're not seen to be promoting in line with various quotas and all the rest of that. So for as long as those incentives exist, it will take a much longer for the ultimate financial bottom line to really come into play. Once you start getting massive $100 million plus AAA games routinely bombing with their involvement, because of their involvement, then there might be some change. But there's going to be countervailing incentives all along, which will make it very difficult for that to come through.
Yeah, and they're in Japan now. I think Square Enix. I think they're doing stuff. My kind of concern is, this is kind of sort of more of an existential concern, which is that I don't want Japanese developers to basically. I think what's happening is they're brainwashing Japan into thinking that all Americans care about this stuff.
Yeah, I
these
saw
Japanese-
that story. The story was that they're actually preemptively running content via localizers in the creative stage, and the localizers
Yes.
are telling them what is culturally accepted and expected in the United States.
And these Japanese developers, they don't have time to really concern themselves with these things, so they just they sort of leave it up to these mediators to kind of work out, and they say, and it's like, I partially blame some of these Japanese developers for like not just not dealing with them in the first place, but they might not understand that this is sort of a niche group of people, and that most Americans or Westerners don't care and will still play a game if it has like a woman with a short skirt. Like,
Yeah, I think a lot of it probably depends on the specific studio and how Western facing the studio is. So something like Square Enix, which very deliberately tries to market games for a Western audience, will
right.
be more receptive to this kind of response from localizers because they believe that they have this conduit into the mind of the Western man, even though as you know that's
Right.
not the case because most people hate this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But against that, some of the most popular games out of Japan are not primarily oriented westward. They are created and are made popular in Japan.
Right.
And by being popular in Japan, lo and behold, they turn out to be really popular when they are transported over here as well, because they actually respect basic mediums of storytelling and gameplay and all the really, really good stuff. So it will probably just be a case of which studios are you talking about and who are they really selling to. And eventually you can move away from those studios, probably like Square Enix, which is really trying to be an American studio in Japan.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily want to move away from Capcom because I like the games that they make, but a lot of people have problems with Capcom because they focus on Western audiences quite a bit, especially after Monster Hunter World, like is their second or highest grossing game ever. And that was primarily that was a Japanese exclusive franchise for decades. And now that game is popular in the West, and now Persona is popular in the West, and now it's like, well, do I have to boycott this, Monster Hunter Wilds now because I don't like Capcom's involvement in?
I don't think it's not a case of boycott. It's just you can expect the Monster Hunter games to be less good in future. It's like Fire Emblem's a pretty good example. When Fire Emblem was exclusive to Japan and they made it for Japanese audiences, the games were really good. And as over time they became popular in the West, the studio thought, hey, let's go and appeal to weebs. And it's now become like I don't even think I've finished the last one. I think I probably got about 10 minutes into it because it's so obviously not what the game used to be. It's so obviously targeting what they imagine their Western fans want. And it's just cringy and unplayable because the dialogue is terrible and the story's shit and the actors are bad and design's cutesy. Everything about that game is horrible.
I think what you're talking about more are narrative-based games. Like if there's like a body type introduction into like a Monster Hunter or something that has body type A, B, C, and then people are like, oh, that's because of DEI or that's because of Sweet Baby Inc. And then there's like, it's like, yeah, okay, but the gameplay is still Capcom at its best. You know what I mean? So that's not going to make the game bad. I think what makes the games bad is stuff like Saints Row or this game where all of the DEI stuff is like at the surface. It's like it's very visible in the narrative, in the dialogue, in the I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but I think it's like when games have like cringe woke involvement, but that has nothing to do with the gameplay. I mean, like Starfield, for example. If the gameplay was solid, I don't think most people would give a shit just because it has pronouns in the beginning. But the gameplay is so boring.
Yeah, that's definitely the main criticism of that game. Is say you can skip over the pronouns thing. I mean, I understand why some of that objection came as it did. But I've tried to play Starfield a few times, and I can't be arsed. I've got more fun things I could be playing.
Yeah,
but you're right. But I mean, that's I tend to lean, I think, toward narrative-heavy games anyway. But games which are not particularly strong on narrative probably will survive longer and be better because that's not the problem with them. But if you really do enjoy narrative-heavy games, and this is the trend in which we're going, they will suffer disproportionately because narrative is the thing that's being debased first and foremost. It's characters and representation and plot beats and storylines that have to emphasize underrepresented groups and say, all of this is shit. Make me a good story. God damn it. That's supposed to be the point.
Yeah. And you can have controversial characters in your game as part of the narrative. You don't have to censor everything. It's like if a guy's bad and he has bad motivations, that's part of the storyline. You don't have to take it out of the story. I think, like with the Last Airbender thing, it's like they're removing the sexual innuendos or whatever because it's offensive, but it's like, well, that guy's supposed to be offensive. That's his character. That's when it gets. That's when it's so obvious that the story and the dialogue. Like,
you think they'd have learned the lesson from that as well? Because that's something that, from what I understand anyway, One Piece did not do. They did stick fairly closely to the tone of the animated original. And they set out to please the guy who created the original, first and foremost, who stuck to his guns. And lo and behold, it turns out it's incredibly successful in live action as well as in animation. I'm not. I don't really care. What was I can't remember what the name of the thing. What was the other one that's coming out that's being changed again?
Avatar,
that's the one.
Last Airbender.
See, I have never seen any of the Avatar Bender stuff, so I don't know.
The show's all right.
The Avatar Bender.
The Avatar Bender.
Yeah, same. They're talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the comments. There was some controversy about that too, where the developer said that he changed the way characters talk because it was sort of culturally insensitive or something, but he didn't specify what he meant. I think what he meant is, in the original game, Barrett was just like this loud, obnoxious black guy. And they gave him more development and more like kind of meaningful personality in the remake, which I actually enjoy, to be honest. I don't think that was a good example of woke DEI like ruining a game. I think people love or hate that game, but the people who hate it don't like the ghosts and like the changes to the timeline, and not necessarily anything else. But yeah.
Tragically, I don't think I've ever played a Final Fantasy game either. I know I should.
Oh man,
I've not either.
Oh no,
I haven't either.
Wow. What were you doing when you were, when you had like a PS2 and a PS1? What did you play?
Mario Kart and Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot.
Did you have a PlayStation 1?
No.
Oh wow.
My first console was a GameCube.
I didn't either.
Oh
I had a PlayStation 1, but I played the N64 more.
I did. My stepdad got an N64. I think. Wow. Did he get that before we had the GameCube? No, he must have done. Yeah. He also had a SNES, so I had this weird jump. So I played SNES Mario games.
Yeah.
When I was like 5, and then lots of Nintendo 64, and then the first console I owned was a GameCube, and that's when I played most of my games, I think.
Yeah.
Resident Evil, specifically number 2. Played that one a lot. Number 3. And Crash Bandicoot. And that's about it. That's all I played on PS1. Yeah.
It generally does take me about a decade to get around to playing things that I should have played. I download, instead of getting Suicide Squad, I downloaded The Last of Us, finally, to see what all the fuss is about. So I'm now playing that and enjoying the first part.
Wait, what game was this?
The Last of Us.
Last of Us.
I just finally got it.
It's not bad.
I haven't beaten the second one. I've never played the second one.
What do you think of it? Oh yeah, the first one. Yeah, the first one. That's what I meant. Like, the first one's not bad in my opinion.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I like that game.
It's annoying because a huge amount of what makes it so good relies on it being kind of one big cutscene, or at least gameplay almost on rails. Because if you actually did have to, expand and afford more than like room-specific exploration, you probably wouldn't have been able to put the same amount of money, time, and resource into making the world look as amazing as it does. It's all facades around you. That said, I mean, you forget about that pretty quickly while you're playing it, because the story and the narrative is so good, and the characterization's really good, and the voice acting's good, and the way that they build up threat and peril and tension, in particular, that fucking basement scene, which is where I am at the moment. That's a good scene. I don't remember feeling that tense in a game for a long time. So it's, from what it does it incredibly well. And I'm really looking forward to being really disappointed by The Last of Us 2.
Well, have you played Uncharted?
No, I have not.
I think those games have better stories, and in my opinion, I think the Uncharted 2 and 3 are just more entertaining to me. That's mainly because I'm kind of tired of post-apocalyptic narratives, and they all start to blend together. But I don't know. I'm not saying Last of Us is bad. It's just It's not my favorite kind of story.
Yeah, you like the Uncharted series if you're an Indiana Jones guy.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, that game's coming out this year, right? The Indiana Jones game?
Oh yeah.
Is that coming
Is
out
that-
this year or next
Is it
year?
this year?
I think it's this
They've
year.
announced it, but
I think it's 20.
Well, there was a trailer too, which the trailer looked pretty neat.
I
It
shall
looked
Google
okay.
this.
It was.
It
No,
looks
I
better
wasn't-
than the Dial of Destiny, but that's like
That's pretty
to
easy
do.
though. I think I wasn't on board with first person for like half the trailer, and then Indiana Jones started punching, and it looks like you're punching first person, and you're punching like Indiana Jones. It's not
I'm waiting
like
for somebody to mod in
choreographed-
Phoebe Waller-Bridge as a Nazi, so you can just punch her repeatedly in the face, and that'll be quite funny. I think apparently tentatively targeting December 2024, which means almost certainly 2025. But you know
And
they're
the voice-
aiming for this year.
the voice actor that they got is pretty good at doing a Harrison Ford from that time period. So
There's a Star Wars game coming out this. Isn't Outlaws coming out this year as
Yeah.
well? I think.
mhm.
Yeah.
Outlaws.
No, it's Ubisoft. Oh yay. Much like Skull and Bones, which is the other thing that's come out from Ubisoft, which is
Oh yeah.
well coming out imminently from Ubisoft.
Troy Baker is Indiana Jones. He's Joel.
He is.
Joel.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, he's good.
Thank you, Ruddy, in the chat for that. I forgot about that.
But yeah, anything else to be said on the Suicide Squad game, except that it makes everybody want to commit suicide?
That's how I felt about Silent Hill 2, the short message. Does anybody know what that is?
Nope.
No.
It's a stealth drop. Like 5 days ago, Silent Hill at the Sony State of Play was like, "Hey, there's a Silent Hill game for free. Go play it." And everyone, it looks like PT, which is a phenomenon like back in the day. And I played it it's a 2-hour long. I guess you could call it a game. It's a visual, barely interactive game. It's so bad it made me want to self-delete. And it's ironic because I put there's a review on my YouTube channel about it, and it's doing pretty well. But there's a lot of people hating me because the game is about self-delete. It's about like social media abuse and like being a teenager and being like bullied on the internet. That's what I'm not even joking. That's what the Silent Hill game is about.
Okay. Oh yes. I think
It's called, so the half the game you're on your phone looking at messages and you're like your character's crying, and then you're walking through this abandoned apartment complex, and it doesn't make any sense. It's all about like bullying on the internet, and it's so like a soap opera. It feels like a soap opera. Terrible. And I wasn't in the mood to self-delete before I started the game, and I was after. And it's ironic because the game is supposed to do the opposite. It's like they even say, if you feel in this mood, you should dial this number. It's like a prevention hotline. And I was like, I'm going to call this number now because I played your game, not because I was feeling this way before. Anyway, it's
Sounds
terrible.
like I'll be skipping that one along with
Yeah.
Suicide Squad then. Good
Swerving.
Lord.
Yeah, it's so bad. Yeah.
Well, there was one more topic I wanted to chat about. Was the Apple Vision Pro? It's because I don't know, the algorithm's just been feeding me all kinds of stuff about it. It launched recently, and there's a YouTuber I follow that he dissects film as a cinematographer. So he was really excited about it. His name's Patrick Tommaso, and a picture that he posted went viral, and it was him and his friends at eating at they were eating at a restaurant anyway with their Apple Vision Pros on, just to illustrate how dystopian it can be. So I wanted to see if anyone's given any thought to this device, what's going to happen with the future, or if you even care.
Kind of. I'm excited. I mean, I'm interested.
I am, but not in a good way. It's just you look at it and you think, yeah, that's about right. I can see that. It's like They Live but inverted, where you have to wear the goggles to see who's sponsoring life this week. Then people will walk in front of buses because they're watching cat videos, and then they'll be filmed by other people on the Vision Pro things. And then like it scans your eyeballs and it sends the IRS after you, but they're all dressed as furry skins, which you can get for $2 a month. And it's just, everything about this I absolutely hate. So, but I like dystopias, so it'll make for a great real-world dystopian novel.
Well, you're morbid. You're morbid. I was not saying that I'm interested in the morbid parts. I actually am interested in, well, I guess if you want to laugh at people getting hit crossing traffic, which is going to happen because you know that software has a computer in front of your face, right? It's not actually see-through.
Is it
right? Yeah. That's the thing. At some points, it's going to be glasses, and then it'll be contacts. And
yeah.
Dude, when it gets glasses, I'll do it. Contacts, no, but glasses, yes.
So I'm trying to find out from anybody who has. I can't find anybody. But the idea of blowing up, it's interesting to me. I'm not saying I'm going to buy it. I don't even like Apple products. I don't have it. I have a Google Pixel phone because my name's Lofty Pixels. Get it? But no, but no, I'm are you guys not curious, like the quality of blowing up a 4K video the size of your wall and then trying to figure out if it's like would that be a fun way to watch a movie like Dune or something? Like I'm kind of curious about that, honestly.
I bet it's amazing.
So I have I have an Oculus.
I have a PlayStation VR. I've done it with. Are you talking about watching movies in the VR headsets?
I haven't watched movies, but I've watched like just YouTube videos. And watching a movie could be interesting. But
yeah,
I don't know. I've just found that like my TV is better because it also has surround sound, but it's just like a better experience.
Sure. For sure.
There is like the optical thing where you make it bigger.
It's very weird, dude.
Which adds to the awe.
Have you done that on your headset? Have you tried that?
Not with movies, but YouTube videos, yes.
So I don't know if nobody knows what I'm talking about in the chat or whatever. If you put on a headset in VR, there's depending on which headset you have, there's apps that you can get, and I'm sure Apple has one of these. Where my friend has this, where it's like there's a theater that's around you in 3D. You're sitting in a theater, and on the big screen is like whatever movie you want to watch. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because you're sitting in your room and it's tiny, and your room is whatever the size it is, and you put the headset on, and suddenly you're looking at a giant screen, and you're not actually looking at a giant screen because you're looking at a tiny headset, but it convinces you that you're looking at a giant screen. Mm-hmm. And I watched Edge of Tomorrow like this, and it was really cool in my headset. I didn't have great surround sound, but I'm assuming eventually, right?
You'd think so. Like I find the technology side of things genuinely fascinating. You know, the tech that goes into it, it's brilliant. You can see so many revolutionary applications for it. It's so atomizing.
And
gaming, the joy of gaming, but why would you? There are probably situations where you're sitting on your own and you want this big cinema-sized screen in your goggles, and you can watch something as a purely private experience, like porn, for example, would be amazing, I'm sure. But everything about it is atomizing. What you're doing is you are filtering out the rest of the world. You're not actually adding anything to it. Right. You're basically saying only I can see what I'm doing. Only I'm involved in my own personal little perception. It's bad enough on like the tube at the moment in London. You go on the train, everyone just stares at their phones and no one talks to each other. And eventually they get mugged by someone who's just, there was a video recently of some guy who was using his iPhone on a London bus, and this gang, which is now specialized in robbing people on buses, robs him with machetes by running onto the bus because he wasn't paying attention. People will get mugged with this kind of thing. It'll be fun. But then you get all of the sort of the cyberpunk dystopian stuff. Ghost in the Shell, one of the major plot lines in the series is the Laughing Man, who can automatically and in real time superimpose things that people are not actually seeing, mask everyone's identity, change people's identity, mask his own identity, get away with everything. Right. And so it's brilliant story potential. It's just that all of this is a warning about technology. It's not like this is a great thing and how optimistic we should be for it. This is a great thing, and we're humans and we suck, and we're going to find some way to make this pretty bleak and dystopic.
I have the same concerns with AI, and I've voiced these concerns, and I know what you're saying. It's like, there's the pros and cons, but the cons seem to be dramatically outweighing the pros of them, and then the isolationist part is the same with AI, which is like everyone's going to start doing their own AI stuff in their own homes, and no one's going to be interacting with anyone. And but with VR, it's it doesn't seem, unless you're talking about bringing it out into the, like, kind of what you were saying, into like the subways, or what did you call it, the tube?
The
Yeah.
tube.
Yeah, the London Underground, colloquially known as the Tube.
But you know, if I'm like laying in my bed and I don't feel like sitting, if I'm like, you know, if it's late at night, you know, instead of watching, Chainsaw Man on my phone before I go to sleep, like an episode, you know, just put on a little VR goggle or VR glasses and watch it on a giant format or something. I don't know. It's just like kind of interesting to me. But that's I won't interact with it any more than that, probably.
No, I'd just say in response to that previous comment, the most fun I ever had on the Tube, the London Underground, the London Olympics in 2012, when loads of people came in who had no idea how to navigate the Tube, because it makes no sense because the maps are all completely fucked. This German guy gets on. He's like, "Can you tell me how to get to this place?" Well, I can't remember where he was going. He's like, "Yeah, you ride this line, you get off at this station, you walk 5 miles to the other station, then you get on that station, then you switch lines, and then you go there." And you say, "Oh, thank you. Now let's all share some Jaeger." Oh, okay, yeah. And so we just got absolutely wankered on this long Tube ride with this guy with this massive bottle of Jaeger. It was actually really nice. Most London people are shit, but the foreigners, when they arrive, are really lovely.
Nice. That's illegal to just get wasted on a train, I guess, in London.
I
The
think
last time I was on a
can.
train, a kid was just coughing on me. It sucked. And that was like a 3-hour train ride.
Better wear your mask.
Well, it seemed like the mom knew that he was like super sick.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
So that's the train ride for me. It wouldn't have mattered if he had a Apple Vision Pro on. The snot would have still reached me, unfortunately.
Did you not get up and move? Like, if I'm on a train and some mother gets on with her, 5 kids by 3 different guys, I make a point of getting up and walking away because I know that they're going to make my journey absolute hell. I'm not going to sit there. Just move to a different carriage. Can you not do that on American trains?
No,
you can do that for sure.
Yeah. I tried to. It was a packed train in my situation, so there was nothing I could do. There's a reason why I was sitting across from this forsaken child.
The chat is, or somebody, Mr. Pickles in the chat is talking about Ray Bradbury being right. I said this the other day. I wonder if we're talking about the same thing. There's a story called The Veldt. It's written in 1950, and it's about the African Veldt, like this. The walls to your house are all virtual, and you can customize every room into like a different atmosphere. And the kid's bedroom was the African Veldt, like safari, like giraffes and lions and stuff. And it's so immersive that you feel like you're there. And Bradbury, being like a magical realist kind of author, sort of transformed it into a reality where somebody gets eaten by a lion in their own bedroom. No, it's just a really cool story, but he did predict this sort of AR, VR tech, like complacency in modern society where people just become fat and lazy and sit in their homes and like just, get teleported to like wherever they want to go. It's interesting. It's science fiction is pretty accurate. All these old, I think there's another one. Harrison Bergeron is another. Does anyone know who wrote that? I had to read that in college. It's very similar. Is it Vonnegut? Kurt Vonnegut? I can't remember.
Maybe it's not ringing. Yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's creepy. I love Ray Bradbury, man. He's my favorite author. Love him.
Oh, he is very good. Very, very good. I did see the video of, there was the guy in a guy in a Cybertruck, funnily enough, going back to the start of the stream. Someone was driving past a guy in a Cybertruck.
He got arrested
who was using. Did he get arrested?
He did.
My God. I thought that was a joke.
Yeah, he was doing it as a gag, but they were like, well, that's still illegal, buddy.
Yeah. I saw there was another one in just a Tesla like Model 3 or something that did it as well.
Wait a minute. This is the worst one. I will show you right now.
Okay.
This is the worst one I've ever seen. Watch this. All right, tell me when is it on the
Go
thing?
ahead. Yeah.
All right, watch this bullshit. Alex Finn, Trader Joe, NFT bro, or whatever. I don't know.
Hey guys, just want to show you what the TikTok experience is like on the Apple Vision Pro. I have 3
Oh yeah.
doing it once. I'm able to
3 TikToks at once.
consume as much TikTok content as
Oh my god.
we're over here.
Wait,
And
listen
if
to what
I
he
get
says.
bored of one, I can just kind of scroll. You can see I can scroll to the next. So we have over here someone eating a panini. If I get bored of that, I can move to the next. And
I can watch someone eat a fucking panini. I paid 30
over
Oh my
here,
God.
you have a good spot to hide and seek. This girl needs to pee. Kind of bored of watching her pee. TikTok, I guess, thinks I like Fortnite over here. This guy, got shot twice. Don't care. That makes me sad. Makes me depressed. Let's go to the next one. So as you
That is my idea of prison.
Oh my
If you
God.
that's just lock people in rooms surrounded by fucking TikTok. Jesus Christ.
I just think it's funny. He's like, "Oh, this guy got shot in a video game. It's depressing. I'm sad now." He changed the subject.
that's so
Let me
depressed. Let's
change it.
that.
That girl has to pee. I'm bored of watching her have to pee.
Oh my God.
And then he's like on his phone at the same time. Like, oh, God. This is
So
this
that is, as you explained, that isn't even like, that's not a pass through. He's not, it's a camera replicating what he's seeing outside of.
Yep.
So the camera will take a scope of your room and then project it
Uh-huh.
onto your eyes, and it's pretty
Jesus.
accurate apparently. But I can see it causing problems if there's like a glitch and it suddenly breaks down and you're in the middle of walking like down a flight of
Yeah.
stairs.
Yeah, or fuck it, so somebody hacks it and just turns every person around you into Rick Astley in the world's biggest Rickroll.
Astley. Yeah, dude, people start hacking stuff as like Anonymous's face pops up in front of everybody and like relays some like
Yeah.
message to everybody.
Oh God. They're like Thanos popping up, man.
Oh God. It's cringe. The
Yeah, so-
technology is amazing.
It is. It's just that we're using it for fucking TikTok. Jesus
Good God.
Christ.
Well, like I saw a guy who had it. Look, I would never wear a headset in my house, unless it becomes like contact lenses or something simple, maybe. But like, I saw a guy put, he put his TV on the wall that's digital. He put a digital calendar on his wall. He put another digital weather app on the wall. He put another. You could put all these things all over the room and lock it in place, so when you're moving around, it stays exactly where you put it. And he had above the kitchen, he had like a Gordon Ramsay video. There was like 25 videos all over his house.
But then, like, you bring a friend round, and your actual house just looks like some dingy rape dungeon. But in your glasses, it looks incredible.
Yeah,
And
you're
then-
like, what do you mean? This is the Sistine Chapel, but my guy. Come on, what are you talking about? Can't see
What
the
does that
Sistine
smell?
Chapel
Look,
above my-
everything I see looks lovely. What's the smell coming from?
Oh man, it's true. I don't know.
Well, any other thoughts on the Apple Vision Pro and the dystopian future?
I'm now more depressed than I was at the beginning of this segment, so there is that.
Does
Otherwise,
Apple have any
no.
like games on it, or is it just like business boring stuff? Like, does it have any? Like,
No, it doesn't
VR
even have
games?
like a YouTube app
No.
yet.
Nope. YouTube denied it.
Like,
YouTube's like,
yeah.
nah, I don't want to be on that thing.
Really?
Is that
YouTube
'cause-
denied it?
Will that be because Google's going to re-release the glass or some equivalent of that? So they want it as
Probably.
like bespoke content.
Yeah, probably. I bet. Yep.
Well, you can go to a desktop app and watch it like on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you want, on your Google Chrome or something, Safari. But there's no app or there's also no app for Netflix.
Really?
You have to go to
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
go to the
No app
Netflix
for that either.
website to look at Netflix.
Hmm.
So
I saw one person say, and I thought this was a good point. Like, Apple at least tries to pride itself in like solving a problem with its, whatever it's releasing, but I don't really know what it's solving with this one. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
for some reason, the original launch of the iPhone, Steve Jobs launching the iPhone, was promoted on my YouTube channel a few days ago, and I thought, fuck it, I'll give it a watch. And yeah, you're right. You look at what that's about, and he's not. There is some innovative design work that goes into the sort of the tech and software aspect of the iPhone, obviously.
Yeah.
But the main thing the iPhone is, it's not groundbreaking new applications. It's a groundbreaking new design philosophy, which presents you existing applications in the most condensed, user-friendly form. It's all a design shop stuff. That's all it really is.
Yes.
And then you look at the Google Glass, you look at the Apple Vision Pro, and you think, well, you've kind of done the opposite here. You're trying to push ahead with the technology without the medium which is ready to host that technology. And as a result, you're making people with way too much money and too little sense walk around wearing giant ski goggles. That's the opposite of what Steve Jobs was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a great movie called Blackberry, which actually in the movie they talk about competing against the iPhone. Was it the iPhone? Yeah, because the Blackberry had the keypad, and the iPhone was just like, here's a simplistic design element that everyone's going to want to use. And it was like, it wasn't necessarily about the technology. It was just about like convenience, right? And or about like and the BlackBerry people were like, you know, it's a good movie. Like, it's very frustrating watching from their perspective, like essentially losing out on all of this, like just falling behind Apple and then not being able to recover. It's a pretty interesting movie. I recommend it. Came out last year. I think it's almost as good as Tetris, to be honest. I would put it on that tier.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I think I do need to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, unless there's anything else anybody wants to cover, shall we round off with some super chats?
Sure.
Yeah. One last thing. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. He was on the centerpiece of the thumbnail originally.
He got gazumped by Gina Carano and then reintroduced via her lawsuit, so he's still got a mention. Yeah. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. You will for always be remembered for your really good roles, and hopefully not for Grief Karga and The Mandalorian, because
my favorite is Predator.
Yep, absolutely.
That's my personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah, super chats.
Rightio then. So kicking us off, Michael Brocky for $5. Hail panel question for Platoon. What's the program you use for your avatar? It's been driving me crazy since I saw a move on OpenBar. R.I.P. Apollo. Yes, R.I.P. The program is VTube Studio. So yeah, you can just rig up a model if you know what you're doing, or get someone else to do it if you're like me and you don't know what you're doing, and then it just tracks your movements and you can give it like button functionality so you can wear funny hats. It's great. Andrew, do you want to take this one?
I'm using VRoid and VMagic Mirror. It's a totally different system, but similar. I use my mouse to control my head. Like, see, it's not my actual. People think my head is like I'm schizo because I'm like, it's not actually tracking my face, guys.
I'm going to continue to think that it is tracked by your face.
Yeah, it makes me feel better that way.
Oh, shit.
It's fun.
Yeah, I got bottom
funnier.
surgery. I'm fucked. But yeah.
Arg, another name for the $9.99. But are you going to watch the incredible cringe Disney video on to their shareholders, or about their shareholders?
Video, I guess it's a video too. This has escaped me. Does anyone know what this is referring to?
The only thing I can think of
Gina
is
Carano
what Chris Gore and Alan reviewed a leaked video Zoom call about. Oh, that's something different. That's a video about DEI in Hollywood writers' rooms. But that's another cringe video you should react to. But I don't know what this shareholders meeting is. I'm not sure.
No, sorry, can't help you with that one. Cynic, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, Julio Rangel for $5. Welcome back, lads. Glad you're back. Cynic, in the spirit of crazy lawsuits, you should share the details of the Vince McMahon lawsuit. Wild stuff. Yeah, this is worth it because it's insane. So I'm a fan of professional wrestling, WWE, and I think everyone, regardless of being a fan of that or not, knows who Vince McMahon is, and he is a wild guy. He's being sued right now for sex trafficking. He's been involved in multiple scandals over decades because he's ruthless, absolutely ruthless. So I don't know why this would catch anyone off guard, but it's still shocking all the same. So he's being sued for sex trafficking because he was in a pretty intense quid pro quo relationship with one of his, well, we'll just say intern, someone that worked for him. And this is clearly not the first time this has happened. A lot of disgusting things were involved, including like having to have her sleep with like a wrestler that he was trying to sign back on. It's not name dropped, but it's heavily implied who it is because it's only one person on the planet who fits the description of and like reputation and accolades of the person. There's only one person. I don't know what would get us demonetized or not, so I can't go into like too much, I guess, but it's incredibly dark and just wild, like just absolutely wild stuff. Lots of poop,
Yeah.
Yeah,
shitty
there's poop
situation.
involved. It's a pretty shitty situation. To say the least.
What is the? Oh, can't believe you did that, Jesus! Well,
Sorry.
you stuck. Well done for sticking with it. What is the context for the poo stuff? Like,
So,
did someone just take a shit, or was shit used as an implement of some sort?
So
He was Go ahead, Cindy.
he was the pooper.
Yeah, they used him as a poop machine. I don't
he
know.
was-
It's gross.
He was the
Why?
pooper and mate because
He wanted
clearly because he could.
He wanted to do it, and I guess other people want. This is something that's always blown my mind whenever I hear about it. It's just like, who actually wants that? I don't know. It's just
What, poo?
Yeah.
Isn't there some weird like diet fad thing? There's something about like if you can improve your gut health, I think, if you consume micro doses of other people's shit. I'm sure I've read that somewhere.
Oh, you should eat all the bugs too, by the way.
Yeah, eat bugs and eat shit, and you will own nothing and be happy.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Or you could combine the two and eat dung beetles instead.
Yeah, dung beetles.
But yeah, so that's the Vince McMahon scandal. Their breaking details is now being federally investigated because obviously, it's actually heavily interfered in my, the WWE thing is super fun and it's been going well for the past year, and it's heavily interfering in that now. So it's like super irritating. In fact,
why is that annoying? Surely that's like the dream thing to have to cover.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I haven't started covering it. I guess right now, like if I officially launched a wrestling channel, this is like, a dream scenario, I guess. But I mean, like as a fan, I'm trying to like when I was watching the show the other day, the first thing I thought of was Vince McMahon. So yeah. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
a bummer.
It's a crazy situation. But anyway, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, well, now I have to know all of that stuff. Fantastic.
I'll tell you more backstage.
Thank you so much.
We get the premium explanation.
Yeah.
Jericho13 for 20, I think that's a Communist Association of Canada dollars. It's BSUP is back. Fantastic. Cheers all. We are back. Yes, we are aiming to be back regularly. I think the plan is to move it back to the old slot. I can't remember when the old slot was. It like Monday at
6:30?
10 at my time? 5 and
I don't
10?
know.
That
I'm
sounds
central, so sure.
What is that? 5K? 4 and 10? I don't know. I think that's when we're roughly looking to do this. I think it's when we used to do it. So we'll be back more regularly in the old time slot, probably, but regularly, definitely. Lofty, do you want to take this one?
Gina, Taker 610 says for 5, Gina's point was that the Holocaust only happened because there was a slow, methodical, and gradual propaganda campaign of defamation against them. I actually agree with all of that. It was obvious what her point was talking about the misinformation, propaganda, the turning people against each other. She was talking about prior to the Holocaust, not even about the Holocaust. She was talking about how people treated other people, and it was very divisive. And it's like, well, that's a fair comparison to like how stuff happens to even today, like with very divisive, like, you know, in the US especially. I don't know what the UK is. The UK super like black and white, like the US is, like Democrat and Republican. Like, how does it? Can you shed light on something?
Well, yes and no. It's becoming more like that.
Okay.
We have probably a bigger apathy problem than you guys do, because I think in American politics, independents make up, is it like a third of most registered voters are independents, and lots of them are going to be disaffected, say Republicans who don't like Trump, or disaffected Democrats who don't like Biden. So the conventional logic in America is that independents swing elections, but actually independents tend to swing to one party over the other eventually. So they have minimal. In this country, though, like we have declining voter turnout, and we have had for years. And it might even break records this time, because absolutely everyone hates pretty much both of the only parties you're likely to vote for. And the simple answer will be that people don't vote. When people vote, the Conservatives win. When nobody votes, Labour wins, because it's all really hinging on Conservative apathy. But because you have that and people don't pay much attention to that, we do have the increasing Americanization of political discourse, particularly online. So the Labour Party will get in, and the Labour Party is, for instance, planning on revamping race relations bills, particularly in the corporate world. So you're going to have to, companies will have to report on whether or not they're paying all black staff equivalent to all white staff, irrespective of what job they're actually doing. And if they're not, they have to change it, which will automatically mean more polarization and more arguments between communities, which is already tearing us apart. And otherwise, the similarity is probably the immigration debate, which is happening fairly strongly over here, and probably almost as strongly as it is over there.
Well, I don't know. Are you saying it's apathy over that debate too, or you would think that people would be fired up over that in the UK because of
people are fired up over that, but they have no one to vote for. So the apathy comes from, well, we've just had, so the Conservatives have been in power in one form or another for about 13 years at this point, with stonking great majorities for the last 2 terms. A parliamentary majority basically means the government can do almost whatever it wants, because we don't have the same checks and balances. We have what some people will call like an electoral dictatorship if the government is too large. That's the Conservative Party, under which, you know, they promise we will get immigration down to the tens of thousands a year, and it is topping almost 1 million, I think, gross. So not only have they not done it, they've gone and done the complete opposite. The only alternative, realistically, is the Labour Party, which doesn't see that as a problem. So who do you vote for in that situation? So people are annoyed about it and very angry about it, but the apathy comes in because there's no one you can vote for to change it. Whereas at least in the United States, you've got an alternative in Trump if you don't want immigration, and you know who to vote for if you do want immigration. So
is there any places in the UK that you could go and live that aren't fucked by mass migration?
Yes, Scotland, but then you have to pay marginal top rates of income tax over 75%, which nobody wants to do. Or like the advantage I guess we've got is we still have these overseas territories because we like to pretend that we're still an important sort of empire country. And most of those are tax havens, and no one lives there. So I might just move to the Shetland Islands. But yeah, otherwise mainland UK, you're kind of screwed, really.
Damn. Okay, interesting.
Hmm.
I know Eastern Europe is different. They have very heavy immigration, like Hungary. I think they don't let anybody in or something. I think it's Hungary.
Hungary is very, very strict on who it lets in. It has religious checks for backgrounds and things. And most of the people there are quite happy with that situation. And the Poles tried to do the same thing, but then their government was ousted by a pro-EU party, which is now arguably breaking the law in reversing all of that, and lots of Polish people are not very happy. Ireland has less of it, but there are big protests there at the moment because they're also now seeing a massive influx of immigration against the will of a large number of the Irish population. So yeah, things over on this side of the pond are not very much better than they are over there, but we just don't have many alternatives, whereas at least you kind of do.
For now. Thanks, Mr. Super Chat. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. It's not about comparing people to Jews. It's about the zeitgeist and the culture and all that stuff. Anyway.
Absolutely. Andrew, do you want to take this one for us?
Sure. Taylor Ramirez for $2. Don't worry, guys. Deadpool 3 will save the MCU. It sure will.
I'm reserved that like even if that
killing
movie's
it.
fun, it's not saving anything. It's just another
No.
Deadpool movie, which I find disposable anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're being sarcastic, but I would
no,
say
I know, but
only,
like
yeah.
Like even if it's good, which I think it has the potential to be, it's
Yeah.
not doing shit. Like, yeah, it's its own thing. It's like it'll be this year's Guardians 3 type of deal.
Yeah, the only thing that can save the MCU is in my head is going back to either the X-Men or the Fantastic Four and narrowing the scope of everything and just putting out good movies with good cast and just picking popular superheroes, and that's the only thing that can save the MCU. Not going in the direction of
Spider-Man,
obscure characters, you know, swapping genders, Madam Web, all this stuff. No, go back to the Fantastic Four, do the X-Men properly, differently maybe, put them in the original 90s costumes, you know, do something simple, kind of like what Iron Man did, just something simple. And then bring the Avengers together, like how the Avengers were brought together. It was very simple. It was just like, here's 3 or 4 different characters, and then we combine them into one movie.
Oh, but did you not see at the end of the Marvels when Kamala Khan is recruiting Kate Bishop into the Young Avengers? That will save the MCU, surely.
No,
Haley Steinfeld showed up and I clapped.
Jay Goodwin said that's actually a Matthew Vaughn quote. If that's serious,
Really?
I like Matthew Vaughn too. So if he really said that, that's fucking.
What did
crazy.
he say? Deadpool. Oh,
yeah, that Deadpool is. Yeah, I think. I don't know. Some of this chat's coming like later or a minute later. I assume that's what he's referring to. I don't care. I'm still like looking forward to Deadpool 3 just because I loved Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I'm unapologetic about that.
But what if they do to him what the Suicide Squad game did to Superman? What if Deadpool decides to ruin him?
Happy. I won't be stoked. My stoke meter will be down, dude.
Matt 1, or is it Matt I, or is it Matt Cat? For $1.99. Really missed you guys. Glad you did the stream. I know. It's fine. We need to bring him on there. Glad you did the stream. So are we. We are glad to be back. Larry for $20. Made you look in an hour or two exploring the Lord of the Rings with Carl Olsen is currently at the doors of Durin outside of Moria. I encourage folks to check it out. It is an internet phenomenon. I don't think I've heard of this, but I'm intrigued, so I might check it out. I think that super chat came in at like an hour ago, so that means it's an hour hence when I'll still be awake and still be working, so I might put it on in the background. I don't know if I know what this one means, so Cynic, you can take this one.
Dude. What's up?
What's up, bro?
Oh.
Is that Haikira for $5? Not much. Hanging out. So.
Remember what's up? Oh God.
This is where I offend Italy, or at least Genova. Dale, I'm going to say it's Genovese. We'll go with that for $5. Platoon, I can't tell if your avatar is giving me the stink eye or the smolder. Here's a bit to fix it. Why, thank you very much. Yeah, my eyes today are on the blink. I don't know why, but when I try and blink, he winks instead. I don't know what's going on. Oh no, they fit. Oh no, there you go.
Yeah, there's one.
It's like a Woody from Toy Story. Like one of his eyes is a little late to blinking. So it's like it's a little unsynced.
I probably fucked up the webcam somewhere along the line. But, and I think finally from Cornwallis for $9.99. Platoon's edit in the Ahsoka vid with Anakin taking 5 hours to finish off Palpatine, only to immediately exclaim, "What have I done?" Got a rare, loud solo laugh out of me. Masterclass in memery. Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I still need to finish that series. Eventually, I'll get around to it. Probably
5 years.
Maybe in 5 years' time. I still need to do Rings of Power as well. But yeah, this will all happen one day in the appropriate time at the foreseeable juncture. Whatever. Yeah. Well, I think that brings us to pretty much the close of the show. The only thing left to do is to plug yourself shamelessly. So we will go clockwise from me. So that's Andrew, you first. Where can we find you and what are you up to?
You got another super chat.
Oh, for
Like,
fuck's
last
sake.
minute.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Stop giving him money, chat. How dare you?
Lofty, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Pavlo John. Pavlo John. There's $5. Who has a more soothing voice? Little Platoon or Mauler? A question for the ages. Really enjoy these kinds of streams. Keep up the good work. That's like comparing. That's like who's. Oh man, that's tough, dude.
Oh,
Nah,
for
it's
fuck's
Platoon.
sake.
I mean,
It's Platoon.
I don't know.
Easy.
I think Platoon has more of like a I would rather have Platoon narrate an audiobook probably if I had to pick.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. Obviously, I can't answer that question because I am biased. So I'm not allowed.
Is doing voice acting or has done voice acting?
I don't know.
I think he said something about it recently. Are you? Would you do that? Have you done that?
Can I even say?
Oh,
Maybe.
Technically, he's doing voice acting right now for the
Technically, yes.
animated figure.
Oh, okay.
No, I've done scratch
you had
audio
a
stuff.
series
As for whether or not it ever gets seen in a final product, I cannot say. But yeah, a little bit. It's good fun. I enjoy doing it. It's doing like, because I think I can do voices. I just have no opportunity to do them except the occasional video, like the Grand Inquisitor. So like I'd like to do more of them. Maybe I'll try in the next few scripts. I'll actually make myself do some voices, and we'll see what what happens. Yeah.
I was gonna say earlier, Little Platoon or Mauler. I was like, that's like asking me to pick between Christopher Lee and Ian McKellen. They're both really good. I don't know which one's better. Oh man, maybe Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he's more impressive, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's the secret. The secret to my voice is lots of cigarettes, lots of whiskey, and when you're about 14, trying to speak like Christopher Lee but sing like Tom York, and in between all of that torture and tearing your vocal cords apart, this is the result. Speaking of which, Michael Broggy for $2 only just found out Platoon is a great singer. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think the only stuff I've got online is from a while ago before I really knew what I was doing, but I've had lessons since then, so in theory I'm better. Yeah, right. I think now that's the end. So where were we? Oh yeah, Andrew, plug yourself, motherfucker.
Oh, I put the Rebel Moon video on hold right now because now I have to look at my Temple of Doom critique because that's coming up for release date. But yeah, that's going to be the next video. Is going to be Temple of Doom and how terrible that movie is.
Oh, good. I can see the dislike ratio already.
Yep, I can see the world burning.
You're gonna get one thumbs up from me, buddy.
Amen. That's all I need.
Yeah, I'll give you a sympathy thumb at least. It's my least favorite of the three.
Yeah, for sure.
Lofty, it's your turn, I think.
Yeah, I just have youtube.com/loftypixels. Basically, I just do weekly Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Just whatever the topic is. It depends. Sometimes I'll talk about Pal World, like video games, anime, movies. It's pretty much pretty random, and I like to talk to my chat. So if you like to hang out and talk about whatever your hobbies are, come on by. I have guests on. Recently, I've had X-Ray Girl. Trying to get Mr. Platoon to come on at some point. Camelot. I want to talk to Chris Gore before the Oscars, and I also might try to get somebody to talk about Dune. Got to find a Dune expert. But I like talking to guests one-on-one. I think it's a fun dynamic. But I like this stuff too. Also, panels are fun. But yeah, that's it. Lofty Pixels on YouTube and Twitter. That's pretty much it. Tomorrow is my stream. I'm not sure what's happening yet. But
okay. Good. Oh yeah, I need to get back to you on that. Yeah, I'll do that after this stream. I'll let you know if I'm free. I haven't figured it out yet. I think I might be. I will get to you presently.
Cool. No worries.
Cynic, what is happening in the world of blue?
Let's see. I dropped a Disney video specific about Bob Iger and Nelson Peltz a couple weeks ago, and I will be dropping a video about The Rock very soon. And that's going to be about how much of an absolute egomaniac he is, and kind of peel the curtain back. Yeah, that's what's next.
Egomaniac. You gonna talk about his political campaign?
No, I'm gonna keep it very specific to entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Moist Critical has some interesting takes on The Rock.
Yeah, mine's all like come together from this week of just like
geez.
seeing patterns with this guy. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's his political campaign? Is he running for mayor of wherever?
President of the U.S. apparently.
President.
Yeah,
Is he running for president?
Yeah,
Wait,
he keeps
what?
teasing
Oh.
about this.
He's talking about it.
Real?
Yeah, he's talking about it, dude. He's
He
talking.
talked about it on Rogan
Sort of
a
like
couple
how-
months
I
ago.
was just joking.
No,
I'm
No,
gonna
he's
save America.
he's not really joking.
Well, given your politics is basically just a giant entertainment game these days, he'd probably do quite well.
Yeah, he would. He would. I'd vote for him over Biden.
I'm gonna save America like I saved the DCEU.
He's gonna save WrestleMania this year.
Oh yeah.
Did you
He's gonna
see
come in
The
and save
Rock go
America.
to that one fast food chain like 7 times?
Yeah, for the second time or whatever the fuck it was. Like,
He
this is
keeps
my
pretending-
first time for the second time.
He keeps pretending it's his first time. He's like, "It's my first time
Yeah.
at the In-N-Out Burger or wherever it is, and
Oh my God.
I've never ordered here before. Let's test it out." And he's done this like 3 times. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah,
It's
that's
this this obsession with like people interacting with his. I don't know, understand it anyway. It's weird.
yeah. It's like you don't know where the Rock does. Is there even a human being anymore? Like, I just don't even
I thought The
understand
Rock
this
did all his own cooking, though.
Yeah, I don't even think he eats these things. He just goes and makes Instagram videos and talks about himself like he's
Oh,
cool for- I don't know.
Yeah, because the first time he went to In-N-Out Burger, it was his first time, but
Yeah.
he didn't actually eat the burger.
Right, and then he. Oh my
Right.
god. Anyway.
Fucking Jesus.
Oh well, we can look forward to President Rock then in the next few years.
I'll vote for him. I'll vote for him for the meme. I will do it.
He's gonna be a part-time WWE champ too. At the same time.
Oh, I'm also doing a bunch more movie reviews this year. I realized that my algorithm on Twitter sucks for live streams and I can't gain any followers. So I like Jeremy. Do you guys like Jeremy Johns? I kind of like
he's
how he
alright.
approaches.
I don't
Yeah.
have any problem with
I
the
like
stuff
how he
I've
approaches
spoken
movies.
about.
aight.
It's very like kind of off the cuff and casual, and like he keeps it under 8 minutes. I might start
Yeah.
doing those. My Silent Hill one did pretty well actually. So if you guys like games and anime and stuff, I'm gonna do a bunch more of those.
I
I'm
don't know.
excited.
It's
Excited
under
for
8
it.
minutes. Like, is there even a point? Is it even a video if it's less than
Hey.
an hour long?
Yes, it's called a TikTok. Woo!
Speaking of incredibly short videos, then, Echo is my next thing. That'll probably be this weekend. I think that's a short one for me. That's under 3 hours long, just
Man,
which
Oh,
is like,
barely
so
enough
fucking.
content.
I know it's so fucking regrettable. I wish I hadn't done it. It just got to the point where I'd done most of the script and recorded it, and there was nothing else. And so I thought I might as well. And then as time has gone on, and no one gives a shit, including me, about that show, it's been like, why bother? But thank you, Lofty, for helping me out on that one. That's been a big help. So
Yeah,
hopefully there's still like entertainment value in it. More entertainment value in that than there was in the actual show is the ambition. So any entertainment value at all will be the ambition. That'll be hopefully this weekend, copyright permitting, after which hopefully more content this year, because I've got little like full-time help now. So more scripts, more videos on more things, probably some shorter episodic stuff as well. We will see, I suppose, how that pans out. But that is it from me. Any final words? Anything anyone is burning to say before we close?
I just want to ask you, what was the first time you ever did a really long video? Were you worried that no one would watch it and that you were wasting your time on it? Like now,
No.
obviously, now you kind of know that there's an audience for it, but the first
No,
time,
because it all blew up so quickly.
Oh.
I never really had that problem.
okay,
Because it was really just this wild 6-month ride. So like anything I could do was great. But no, I was just like, I want to do something that makes me laugh and that's entertaining. And if people like it, they like it, and I'm doing a good job. And if they don't like it, then I'm probably not. But so far, touch wood, it's all been reasonably well received. But yeah, I just do them as long as I feel like they need to be, as opposed to worrying about viewers and things.
gotcha. Man, that's cool. it would make me panic if I had to spend 75 hours on a video. I'm not sure if anybody would watch it, but
there was the additional like advantage because I had the other job writing about pensions alongside it. So anything that wasn't doing that was fun.
For journalism?
Yeah. It was financial journalism, but it was mostly about pensions, which like lovely people I met, some very talented people, but as a job, it's like the least sexy thing imaginable. So I could just like had this weird wacky work schedule where I'd be doing that from like 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. and I'd have like an hour off, and then from about 6 p.m. till 4 a.m. I'd just be video editing on like Rings of Power. But it was fun because it was stuff I wanted to write, so I didn't really mind.
Nice.
On that note, thank you to the panel. Thank you to the lovely people in chat. As mentioned, we will be back more often, probably on Mondays going forward. So we hope to see you in the next few days on various channels, and then this time roughly next week for the next BSUP. But thank you again for turning up. That's kind of it. So go away now, as that guy says.
Go
Bye
now.
GG.